learned much more about Weibo than what we'd already learned against IG, right? When they're getting on these picks like the AD LeBlanc, the Twisted Fate in topside, the Tristana obviously being a big one, they're performing so incredibly well. They're being really a lot more decisive early than we were seeing them do before. Of course, like you said, they're playing side lanes. Just the map overall incredibly well. But at the same time, when they don't get those picks, things look a lot more difficult for Weibo. Again, we saw that when LNG were able to bring it back in games 3 and 4.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because coming into the playoffs and so we were like, oh, they're the tortoise, you know, they're really slow. They learned a lot, I feel like, from their opponents. I feel like we've seen little bits and pieces, at least of IG within the LNG series, and now wondering if a little bits and pieces of LNG will come in.
Marcel, you stop giving credit to the enemy teams that Weibo have taken down. Weibo have built this brick by brick, though, you know, the bias probably has to end here. I do feel like, even though you're right.
Yeah, by the way, everybody, he predicts Weibo all the way, so no bias whatsoever.
All the way. Not even just to LPL, to MSI finals. But
oh my God.
Kind of bringing it back, right? Even though we've seen them be a bit more aggressive early on, we still see them be very hesitant once it comes to mid and late game about fighting. Just specifically about, you know, pulling and baiting Baron, looking for fights, the standoffs that they go for. It just seems like they're so hesitant to go for the 1v1 brawl. At the same time, though, they might just be some good peace-loving fellows. Like,
is that what it is? I don't know if that's the case. Hey, I want to see some more Dravens. I want to see some more early game stuff. I want to see, honestly, Xiaohu have a great series because it's going to be an important one for Weibo to continue a surge in the playoffs, which is a gauntlet in its own right. You're playing every other day, a best of 5 against some of the top teams here, but it's really just about how this team has kind of worked itself up in those playoffs.
Again, these stats really showing we were talking about earlier, things like their first blood is up, their gold difference is up, they're dying less early, but again, that champion kills per minute is actually the one thing that has gone down. So it's kind of interesting, but also does tell the story of what we've seen so far from Weibo in playoffs.
Kind of different looks, a little bit of a molding of the style, but also just a lot of mechanical play as these guys, like ZDZ in their first series was just absolutely popping off. I think Xiaohao has had some consistent performances as well, but it is now a real test. JDG, the one standing in front of them, one step away from a guardian angel. Both these teams want to prove that they deserve a second shot at least here, and it's a JDG roster that maybe didn't expect to be a 3rd seed coming in.
No, right? I mean, they're actually tied in terms of series with TES 13-3, but their game difference was massively lower than Top Esports. So we do see Sheer here on this roster, but of course it is Flandre starting today. Maybe we could talk about that a little bit more as we get towards the games, but this really has just been all about Kanavi so far this split.
If JDG have been a theater performance, the spotlight has been centered at least on Kanavi, because I think the way that this guy has played this split, he's really turned it up. It was last split, or at least last year, a story of a lot of the pieces of JDG being very strong. This year, it's all Kanavi.
Yeah, and like last year, I feel like Kanavi had the bad games that would end up losing JDG their games, or even, you know, the odd series here or there, but he wasn't relied on to just be that full-on consistent carry all the time, because you had Ruler popping off, you had Knight in the mid lane, you had 369 up top for the odd game he got a carry, right? But this year it really feels like, with how Ruler and Missing are playing down in the 2v2, not really stepping up the same way they did last year, it is all on Kanavi's shoulders.
And that in and of itself is of interest into a Weibo who have Xiaohao. We saw IG get up under Xiaohao early game, or have a lot of control through the jungle, and it was very difficult for them to navigate. And Kanavi will get control, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. I really love the way he's been playing. He's been aggressive. He's been in the enemy jungler's face. He's actually been solo, you know, finding more solo kills than junglers typically do in the league. And he's just really the pivotal force in a lot of their team fighting, right? Whether it's finding the flank and the kick on the Lee Sin, or being able to get off a huge stun with someone like Jax, it really feels like he's the guy they have to rely on. To where today, maybe we're going to have to see some other pieces start, you know, stepping up to enable him more, especially in the 2v2 with Yagao. If they can get that mid jungle going early, it will be huge for JDG.
I'm just just wondering if we get a third deja vu in a row. But I think the flexibility that Kanavi has represented a lot of times for me is what I love to see, and kind of I think we'll
Rồi
get
anh em
the
nhá,
Viego
khỏe
as
chưa thầy à? Chưa em ạ.
premiere tonight, as
Hơi
maybe
à.
we would have in the regular season,
Tạm
but
tạm.
especially against opponents
Chắc phải hết
that
tuần.
are a little bit behind the ball or maybe lack a little bit of that cohesion. That is where JDG are so lethal, and we have seen Weibo slip up in both of the best of fives. And if you do that against JDG, they will pounce.
Exactly. I feel like JDG also like decently consistent. Like you know they're gonna be solid in the team fights. You know they have solid movements around the map. Like they're laning across the board with players. So it's like a lot of like litmus tests across the board in different areas that Weibo needs to overcome to even have a chance.
Now, in history, at least, I'm not one to read too much into it, but Weibo just came over beating LNG, who they lost to in summer. Now, maybe a little bit different against JDG, but let's look at some of those historics between these organizations themselves.
It's actually 3-3 all time if you're just counting Weibo and not bringing in the shooting record. But I think the more telling thing than the 3-3 is that the last 3 times they've played, Weibo have won every single time.
Nhà cái nó cho cái kèo hơi ảo nha. Jin Đông âm 1.5 ăn khá nhiều.
So maybe some question marks and answered at least in the regard of what
Jin Đông ăn 1.5.
Tức là 3-1 là ăn đấy.
Thằng Weibo nó yếu mà có mạnh hơn.
Yếu mà sao rate lại to thế nhở? Kèo này tính ra là ngon anh em ạ.
Chưa chắc. Vẫn coi là game 1 đánh như nào. Nhiều khi nó bị á đùi.
Yeah, and again, I feel like that could be the reason why they're bringing in Flandre, right? We really can't know, but when you look at it, it's like, hey, he has played
cùng lắm là 3-1.
TF this split, they were, winning the majority of those games. We know in the past, Flandre's always kind of lent on similar sideline champions that Weibo are leaning into. So we bring him on the roster, try and contest these picks, or even just having faith that Flandre can outperform ZDG in that role.
I love that they're bringing in a guy who's been such a rock.
Đúng không?
A guy who's been a bit tumultuous or maybe chaotic in the top. I think there's been some times where the quids don't necessarily work out, or it starts going really rough, and then they're able to turn out very good sideline pressures. But I guess that's where I want to start talking about draft just a tiny bit as we see the players taking this. Flandre is here. He's ready to go because I think a couple priorities come to mind, right? The thing you talked about most for JDG was the combo jungle setups for Kanavi, and trying to find those early, I feel like could be important.
And that's why I'm kind of interested.
Lên
Like the karma taking a bit of a hit. We've still seen her a couple times in playoffs. She's actually been picked 3 times exactly, but.
Này có vui vẻ mấy kèo vui vẻ không?
Không vui, hôm nay không vui thế nào. Em có mấy. Ngày nếu vui thế nào?
Em ơi.
I love that he's the one that does it too. Not too shabby.
Thế xử lý xong cái vụ đấy chưa?
Vẫn đang xử lý.
Missing himself. That's also going to be super important because it was not just mid-jungle duos that we were highlighting as well. It was maybe some support roaming potential with the connection of Kanavi that was super important. But this Weibo team, man, they have found so much success, even though they've had their fans on the edge of their seat every single series. That's why you love this team, because at any moment they can turn it on, win the series, and here they are 10 games later against JDG with one final step to go to Guardian Angel.
I think, the funny thing, to play devil's advocate, not only can they turn it on every time themselves, they can also turn it off.
They turn it off. You gotta get that gas line checked out. Like there's a faulty system in there. I don't know.
You know what? I like it. We're just gonna go back to the traditional excuse of they're just trying to get as much time on stage as they absolutely can.
Do we need to have a TED talk about that?
I do gotta say though, another thing about this matchup that I really wasn't thinking about until seeing the players walk out on stage is also kind of Xiaohu versus Flandre. Even though they're not in the same lane, just like the old RNG EDG rivalry kind of bleeding in between these two guys with the amount of times they've faced over the years.
And it's also going to be some key potentials.
And like even thinking back, right, when Xiao swapped to top, he said Laundry was one of the people giving him the most hits.
It's really cool, and I do wonder how that kind of plays into it, because maybe a little bit of extra love given over on those roams towards that top side, but that's where that play style really comes into contention, and how we want to see not only those combo junglers, things like that for JDG, but I need to see some push and move style mid laners for Xiao, who we've seen the Tristana has been absolutely dominant for Weibo. But being able to get the Talias, things like that, that you can actually get out on the map and use that brain of his that we know so well.
You know, I don't think JDG would do this. I don't think any team would do this. But I am curious about what would happen if a team 3-ban mid. If you took away Tristana, AD LeBlanc, and the Talia, right? It's like, hey, what do Weibo really land on? And sure, like, they could still pick other generic champions in the mid lane, right? Like, Ari's still there, Nico would be a possibility, of course. You could just pick something strong inside for ZDZ. But again, I feel like one of the reasons why Weibo's had a bit of a resurgence is the fact that Xiao has been playing much better towards the end of the split and now in playoffs. Again, he still had some stinkers in these series with the losses, but I would say generally it's been more of an upturn.
It's just, you know, maybe he's gotten a little bit more practice on it. It's fine. He's got a couple days.
Exactly. You know, it wasn't just in that day either. Again, I don't want to throw Crying under the bus when he's already been eliminated, but you know, we've had a few as years.
We can only throw the players that are on your screen under the bus. That's the rules, I guess.
So only
I love that.
Right
I love that Laundry's name is Never Laundry. Never Land Laundry. I don't know how to say it, but it was pretty funny. Anyways, I think being the first time that we've seen this JDG roster, people are going to be wondering, you know, why are Knight and Yagao switching over all the time? And I think there is a conversation that Yagao is the vibes guy. People want to play with him. Kanavi specifically really wanted to play with him as well. And what he brings to the roster is much more supportive of Kanavi.
Exactly, and like that's why I don't know. It feels like there's. God, the last time I said Yagao was underrated, he ended up sprinting a top lane on his ear. He ended up sprinting a top lane on his ear. But it does feel like more overarchingly over the years, he has been a player that has always been a little bit underrated. Maybe barring 2022, which was, you know, the year where JDG were really just going all out with Yagao. So, yeah, I don't know. This one is going to be interesting, especially if we have similar mid lane dynamics as we did against JDG, because my God, Scout and Xiaohu were looking to brawl all lane long. And again, in that series, sadly, Scout is better Xiaohu, so Xiaohu's going to need to step up and do a better job today against the Yao.
And also another little thing, I know you don't but I feel like it's the tree in the room, not the elephant. The Maokai. How quickly does JDG ban that away? Because we've seen teams adapt after a couple games of that pick, and it just seems to unlock Xiao Hao. I know
Viking thắng hay thua nhỉ?
The pick itself, but the way it works for the
enables
team
the draft.
and enables
Viking
the way
thắng hay
they
thua
want
nhỉ?
And again, it's not, I'm not saying Xiao's bad.
Đang 2-1.
Xiao's Maokai is great. JDG probably going to ban Xiao's Maokai.
Do they learn game one?
I'd say probably. I mean, you have so many games of footage now. The thing that Maokai does so well, right, is it enables those picks. It enables the AD LeBlanc to come through. Tristana can kind of still be played with other champions, right, we see quite often, but we've really only been seeing them bring out that LeBlanc when it's paired with the Maokai. So it's easier to have just double AD in your soul lane, so... And even provides disengage for your 3-man unit when the rest of your team is playing side. So again, I think it is a very good pick for Weibo, and I expect JDG to take it away because it's kind of like if you ban that, you're also soft banning some of the other champions.
And it changes a little bit.
Đúng rồi, lần về đánh lại không phải chi nữa. Đúng rồi.
Yes, he's still decent, but I feel like those facilitators are really where it's at if he wants to find success. And when he's been pressured in his jungle, that's when things start to kind of come awry for Weibo themselves. But they're going to be relying a lot on this top lane up here. ZDZ has really turned it up in that IG series. His rumble was feared. And I wonder if that's going to also play into it.
Sáng nay thằng Ninh Phạm nó mới comment. Nó bảo chơi TK88 đen không ăn được một mã nào. Xong rồi nó bảo hôm nay
JDG
Này
do
chơi
take out
chơi
the
chơi
whole
web
with
cũ mẹ
Arjan
về
and
bờ.
Weibo going straight towards that TF. So Weibo already showing their hand that like they're gonna keep bringing this home to the side lane as long as possible.
Let's see what Flandre's answer is going to be. That's just Weibo saying, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got.
Thầy
The
cha
Varus is locked
rồi
down.
dắt
That was
dễ
Weibo. There's a little bit of flexibility there. Maybe
cái
with
JDG
Flandre as
bên
well,
kia.
some of his history too.
Lại là
The
ZDZ
Jack
à?
is locked in though with some
Mẹ.
flexibility
thằng
on
thằng
top.
Landry khả năng đánh con dắt rồi,
Groton
con
on
top
the red
con
side
dắt thì đi
already.
top rồi.
Yeah, now for Weibo. Not really like easy answers into what JDG had picked. Like you said, Jack, the flex pick and Varus. Where I like them going towards the Kalista. We have been seeing Light play the lethality Kalista, and I gotta be honest, I don't really want Light on lethality 80 carries when this man's positioning in team fights has just been so immaculate when we see him on, you know, either crit or on hit. But they're gonna go for this one if they just pick up the Renata right here and now. But seems like no.
He wants a redemption game, man. After the last time around and whipping a couple of those ultis early and having a rough game, he wants another chance. But it is a pick that I feel like doesn't necessarily fit something or place out quick mobility on mid lane, but it will have the presence.
Yeah, right. It's surprising they went for it when maybe kind of a denial.
Hôm nay Hà Nội buồn lắm những cơn rơi mãi rơi, cũng như anh mong cho dòng ký ức về em cứ trôi mãi tôi, dùng cảm xúc vẽ nên hình ảnh em bằng màu của nỗi nhớ. Trên những giây đó cũng chỉ là những thứ đã bị thời gian phai mờ, bởi vì em không phải là người con gái dành cho anh. Có duyên để gặp nhưng không có phận, thì dù có cố cũng chẳng thành. Giấu tên em trong từng bản nhạc để họ không biết em là ai. Anh cũng chẳng biết để cảm xúc làm thế là đúng hay là sai. Em lại rời xa anh rồi. Em lại rời xa anh. Và nếu nắng gió có cuốn em đi như là lời hứa ta đã nói lúc chia ly, là bài hát mà anh viết nhưng sẽ không bao giờ có em, bởi vì em là người con gái nhân sắc hoa nhường nguyện thẹn, còn anh chỉ là chàng nghệ sĩ với khu vườn ngập sảng ánh sáng hoa thơ. Em bỏ anh ra đi để anh lại cứ ngồi bên ngẩn ngơ, xin ông trời kiếp cho chúng ta sẽ lại được gặp lại, để anh được nói rằng anh yêu em không cần đắn đo không ngần ngại, để không phải giấu tên em đi chỉ vì sợ em tổn thương, cho dù anh không còn đủ cảm xúc để viết ra bài hát mang tên Vương.
Đây ta dắt thì top.
Mưa
that's what I want to talk a little bit about is the priority that Weibo put on the mid lane matchup when they still had a lot of
view
options. They could have gone that Renata already and not wait for it to get banned away, but they said maybe those mid lane bans in the second phase could really make the difference, so they wanted something consistent. I really like the targeted
cái đề
focus
xuất
towards these
nên là
supports here.
mấy kênh đều ít view cả anh em ạ.
Yeah, now the Xinjiang lock-in makes a lot of sense. You are just gonna end up
Được mấy
seeing
hôm đầu
Andre
mấy trăm,
up to
100-200
top.
view.
Gonna be a lot about playing around.
Do jungle nè,
To get in there with that counter strike.
bên kia khả năng cao Virgo
Get eaten alive on
hơn
the
đi
way out
xin.
there with where we wanna
Hết
go.
thời.
Banning out the Rakan
Đi
themselves.
xin một Siyuni, giờ
I'm
tiếng
curious to
tăng
see
quá.
where they go because
Thằng Weibo khả năng cao đến Siyuni rồi.
we've seen typical things, right? The Renata, the Nico, but they haven't really branched out much more than that with the Kalista. Who actually get the Annie coming through crisp.
Let's go. I love that. They have so
Anh
much
em sụp
presence
đánh
on
tài
the
kêu
bot
đi nè.
side now, and as soon as you get those stuns,
Tài kêu
up,
bao nhiêu
it's
ta?
so hard to even step up for JDG.
Tài
This is also
kêu
a pick that Xiao Hao
23.5.
has towards, but finding ways to get the fight started is what they need now, right? They have the yellow card, they have the inhibitors drop, they have a lot of backup CC. They need something to get it kicked off.
Tài kêu 23.5 đấy.
Money.
Cái này hợp lý.
I mean, we see it happen. Doesn't mean it's great, but again, not a whole lot left open that I think Xiao has shown to be comfortable on. Again, Maokai and Poppy, I think, really fitting the styles of what they played. Now JDG having to round out their bot lane pair. I would expect it to just be the round, get even more engaged, get even more dive to be there for the backline. So this one's kind of interesting, right? Because JDG, a lot of like low range melee brawlers up against Weibo, which is pretty much the complete opposite, pulling them apart, cutting them back with the Azir, and really just trying to avoid 5v5s at all costs until potentially Xiaohu can take over later.
Really love the difference in drafts that we have now. We do still see Weibo's echoes of the side lane pressure. One of the best to do it in the LPL here, and JDG's first time on the Rift in the spring playoffs. We get Ruler on the Varus, a classic pick that he knows well, maybe on the bad end of it. but it's a very aggressive composition centered around Kanavi's proactivity here.
Yeah, a lot's going to be up to him. I mean, him and Yagao, because your side lanes aren't going to have prio early, right? They should get pushed in bot because of the anti support. TF having range over the Jax top. So a lot's going to be up to Kanavi and Yagao, I think, to get things going, relieve those other lanes, and start putting JDG in a position where they have an advantage.
Weibo have heard those sweet, sweet silver scrapes 2 times now. It has gone 2 dominant games into 2 losing games into stopping the reverse sweep in game 5. Now they face a JDG who has looked dominant but ended up falling to 3rd seed. And they want to prove that they are the real deal. They are both 1 step away from a second life in the LPL Spring Playoffs. But loser of this best of 5, they will sink into the abyss until summer split. This is all on the line. Weibo playing their side lane pressure. JDG wanting to prove their dominance. We're getting ready for game number 1, so let's hear those Dios and let's give it up for JDG versus Weibo Gaming.
Anh em game này đi ta kêu thôi nè. Mình thấy này thì đi ta kêu hơn. Anh mới ra trải nghiệm đó. Mình gặp ra này.
A little bit after it got started. I like it. I like it. Start hearing the echoes in the crowd. And then get to it. JDG looking for a little bit of level 1 vision action.
Đôi ốc sợ nó không va nhau. Sợ dữ. Team này có va chứ. Vừa Ami vừa Kalista mà không va. Ra vội.
Didn't look great on it. Was really struggling to find angles with the ult, but exactly, got the job done. Now going to come in on Annie. Maybe a similar story. Did take the Airy in this lane, knowing he's going to be able to get that proc a lot, playing into a melee support like missing. We see Ruler, of course, going the lethality route. I'm not going to misspeak on that one like I did at 8 a.m. the other day.
It's fine.
It kind of makes sense, right? I mean, so much threat coming out from the Tibbers, from Flistall throwing it in. You've already pointed out the Sejuani, TF ult, 49, Rulers
làm cơn mưa rơi mãi rơi.
Survive as this game goes on.
I don't want to bring up bad memories, but there's an Azir on the other side. I don't know what that means, but we'll see if it
Ruler.
makes any sense as it goes on. Ruler maybe
Chắc là 3-0 rồi, chắc 3-0 rồi anh em.
This is the 4th game of Annie in Crisp's long career, at least competitively rather. And I'm very, very interested if he can be the difference maker, if he can get on the roams with Xiaohao, because that has also been where Crisp has been at his best, is when he roams.
Yeah, I mean, it's even just throwing back to his glory days with FPX, where his movement around the map is really something people would highlight. Weibo overall, no, it's not really about the 2v2. Hell, Weibo overall don't really play any of their lanes to hard win usually. Sure, it's about the prio it can give them, because I think I heard Kelsey say a great thing, that without numbers advantage, Weibo are terrified. Weibo can be 10k gold up without numbers advantage, they are nothing. But
ZDC should know this. They might actually know that they
Rồi.
were on side, but they don't actually getting engaged on Flandre once the angle
Cái tăng tốc lên mà chạy gì sao?
immediately started by Kanavi to get quick back.
Có thằng dừng
And
lên.
Xiaohao comes up.
Chiến đâu?
Kanavi's gonna stop his
Ngoài
back.
2v2
I
không?
think they might actually be able to take this
Ngoài
fight.
2v2 đi.
Xiaohao shows his face, blocks off the engage on a ZDZ. Yellow card is coming up now.
Chỉ có lá
Getting
nè.
engaged from Flandre. He wants it, but he's not gonna flash for it. He had that flash counter strike, but didn't want to pull the trigger on it. Health bars are working out for JDG, and this is a 2v2 tussle. Flandre goes for it. Xiaohao's
chọc
now the
trượt.
engaged target here. He's under tower. Flashes of plenty, bloody lips, but no deaths.
yeah, my god, 10
Oh my
squads
God.
both sides. Is ZDZ having to play that on a knife's edge because of how long Flandre was holding the counter strike and the leap? So ends up working out in favor for JDG. They can fend them off. Summoner's blown everywhere, but at least if Flandre is going to be able to push this lane in, and ZDZ of course doesn't have teleport to get back to lane.
Kanavi finally going to complete his back. Does have a little bit of vision there in the enemy jungle as well. We'll take a look back at that scrap.
Yeah, we're going to see exactly how it went down, because Weibo wanting to go for the counter gank after seeing JDG go for a top side. But I feel like a big thing here was the fact that, again, Flandre was holding on to that counter strike in the jump for so long that ZDZ had to be a little bit cautious, ends up pulling the red card, so he can't do much. And then it really feels like Weibo just...
Sao này biết có màn nào?
Jax,
Hảo.
not having like the
Sao này
super
cặp trúng
lucky
này?
rounds early on, they're going to be able to get right back on you, and they ended up paying for it with those flashes.
Xiaohu's in a lot of trouble in mid lane too, just trying to trade his health bar for some of these minions. We'll have Xiao right behind him.
I want to point out that he actually
có
ended
được
up
kèo
going
không
for
tài
grab,
cứu em.
which we were seeing a bit of
Tài cứu
earlier
đó nè.
split, but it fell off pretty quickly. Did end up going for it here once again, so
Ủa.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Oh, the shield! Oh
Một
my god,
tốc
Yagao
biến.
wants it. He has
Không tốc.
flash, he doesn't decide to pull it. And
Tí thì
that's
solo
Xiao
kill.
who's gonna have to burn his TP.
Trận
to
ao
get
trình
back.
rồi.
Yeah, maybe we're gonna
Đi
get
lên
this
cũng
one
ao
or
trình,
something
không
like
cần phải đánh nhiều.
to be having an easier time to sustain up. But nice coming out from Yagao. I mean, just like the last series, right? When Scout was getting the better of Xiaohu, Yagao now able to do it in this first game.
We are getting level 6 for Yagao as well already. He is going to back, doesn't have TP to get back. We have objectives coming up here. There's a huge wave crashing on a Flandre in the top
Ui,
side of the
phạm
map.
xe kìa.
No! Observer, why you gotta do that?
Ngôi lính to dữ.
Oh, that is kind of big though to lose that cannon.
Phạm thế thì
And
chết.
now we actually see Xiao just taking the advantage up here and taking these telegrams.
I shouldn't be able to get too many. Weibo have even shown throughout playoffs so far that they really don't care about getting any more than one or two. That's kind of about it for Weibo. They're never really the team hard forcing to be able to get a lot of those drubs and be able to push their advantage. So Kanavi, I think it's a good call. Him trying to do this now, prevent any of the power being able to come out from Weibo. And now with sixes is when things like Yagao Stilia is really going to have to come online.
There will be no Grubageddon today, at least yet. We are actually wanting to see a little bit of that roaming from the supports. Missing on that roam already. I'm going to go give a nice little visit to Xiaohu. Kanavi was also roaming around, and you can see this priority for JDG and where it's playing towards. It is all centered around mid lane right now, even with some of that bot lane CS starting to get out in front for light.
Yeah, move over to mid first, help Yagao get a safe window to roam, and then we can see here, right, JDG hoping to make the play on top side.
He doesn't have level 6.
Xong.
Reaper's Ball going to be taught. ZDZ
ZD.
realizes he's in a lot of trouble, and he's getting a little bit of his own medicine thrown his way. They find him under turret. He is able to kite his way to victory there. He has a big old wave coming, and Flandre is here to collapse. Doesn't get the counter-strike off there. They don't really have CC, but they do have the damage. They'll be able to take out the top side. They will be able to get first blood and even some bricks.
Yeah, they commit a lot. We can see in mid, it looks like Xiaohu, getting at least one plate for that, even close to getting two, but nice by JDG. They know ZDZ's flash was down from earlier, and they're trying to set Flandre up to be that big side lane threat, so ZDZ won't have a chance of being able to win in the 1v1 and push that into with the TF like you'd hope.
And that's some of the strategy we wanted to see from JDG. You have a lot of tape on Weibo. We know that there is side lane pressure, and if you can get those side lanes under wraps early, it becomes that much more difficult for them to execute.
Nha.
Really nice game plan so far from JDG.
Yeah, I mean,
Kanavi.
he's actually being down yes, in the matchup, 2 plates going over to Flandre, so getting his hands on some early Merc trends. That's about if Weibo are going to look for an early Drake, right? You have Callista, like any time you have Callista, getting those Drakes stacked up.
Getting a little bit more confident in the trades. Ooh, Chains of Corruption there as well. That's a huge level difference. Oh my goodness. As Crips is going to go back, he has no health, but still the base call used and might be able to press them off of him. So he will save his support.
Yeah, JDG walking back afraid of what was to come, especially with
Em để chết rồi.
in River. I believe he was clearing out a ward. So it ends up being all right.
Có ulti mà.
My God, did I think Chris was going to go down when his health bar
Ulti
was
con
up.
lùn Kalista ghét thật.
Yeah, it literally looked like it was nothing. And then when it comes out, he had like 120 or something like that. But that's some of the equalization that Ruler and Missing can have now that we haven't seen a lot of presence and pressure down towards the light. Callista definitely wants some resources early, and they haven't been able to facilitate that.
Nãy giờ 8 phút chưa ăn con một.
No, we've seen Weibo. This looking more reminiscent to like regular season Weibo, right?
Đang lay off không được thì chia lắm.
Chao's just kind of farm and do his
Ra
own
phần
thing.
tâm
They
rê.
don't play much, I think, around the windows of lane pile that they get, but should be fine. It seems like they're banking a lot on the Azir being able to have a sizable impact.
That's where I want to bring up some of the gauntlet conversation about our playoffs. This is a lot for Weibo. Like you've gone the heart-wrenching distance 2 times in 2 best-of-5s that were to decide if you still get to play the video game. And you're going into yet another one, an even tougher opponent. I wonder if Momentum will actually reign king. Chris going to get a double CC. Xiao is here as well. I don't know if they can back that one up, but they do get Chris out of
Rồi, đây là. Mưa là băng.
trouble a couple times.
Vì là
Yeah,
không biết có mặt.
Big is able to keep Weibo alive, but Chris did did have to use a flash, so overall, JDG being a nice shot, finding a bit of an advantage right now, not having to worry about that flash.
Theo kiểu gì hả? Tại mạng không? Tại mạng 23.5.
Sure, you still have to worry about the Fate's call, right? But I feel like hypothetically, you'd love to use that to just be able to fool the
Đội hình này đợi Ruby ra là xấu rồi. Đánh nhau rồi.
JDG gonna convert this into a dragon.
Weibo, what a contestant, but they might have just gotten rused a little bit. Missing when he crashed over the wall.
Hey, phút này nè.
End up just going over. So
Kẹp nè.
decent objective control so far from JDG. Oh, they don't know. Missing on the side. Weibo, you gotta be careful. Fate's call is not available. Tibbers is. You do have that ability to get the CC stun. TP coming in now. That will be Andre joining the tussle. They're gonna join the party, and JDG are looking for blood. Change of corruption goes on. They know they can't do it, and that's a double going over to JDG. It feels like they're getting to the root of Weibo early in this game one.
Yeah, great kills going over to JDG side. I'm surprised.
Cái cho kèo âm 1.5 thể dễ.
Weibo
làm sao có cửa win được một cái map nào trừ khi bọn kia bịp.
To that first item, and now for JDG, you picked up Kill's bot, you picked up Drake, and even just start making a turn up towards that top side is we're gonna see here. I mean, you said it right. Not
JDG
expecting missing to go for this angle, and
ao trình mà.
now really having nowhere.
Bị bu ngó mà nữa.
I think Logic coming in's a bit overkill, but they would
bu đánh.
Chứ nó có thằng Ani. Chứ nó có thằng Ani bắt lẻ lại thôi. Ôi trời. Anh biết đi ghế trên nên bị solo kill rồi. Anh đứng chạy. Chạy được.
Big TF
The biggest conversation now becomes Ruler has an advantage, and he might be going lethality, but he ain't no slouch. And I think Kanavi has taken a lot of spotlight this year, but you have to remember Ruler had one of his best years at LPL in his first year here.
Từ đoạn JDG đánh ác mà. Đánh để cho nó thở.
As they were last year, and even that was a lot of the rest of JDG facilitating them, the meta being about playing that way. So definitely nothing to knock. And now, like you said, 2-0 up, has the ghost already done. It's going to start being a lot of threat on the Weibo with these early objective fights. And again, with the Krugs, not Krugs,
Grubbies?
Grubbies, there we go. I don't know why that was the word that slipped my mind when I said it 3 minutes ago. With the Grubs being up, easy for JDG.
Yeah, I will say Weibo did sneak in and get one of those on the second spawn. It still will be 4, at least, for JDG, but they will not get the mites. So there was a bit of a denial there from Weibo moves from Xiaohao, who also will be on his first item, joining Xiaohu with his Leandri's first on the grass build of the Azir. But something else I think has to start becoming get another dragon. Light's gonna have to have and how does he move around this JDG team fight comp? Like, it feels impossible.
It does feel impossible. Right? You're gonna have like Unraveled Earth being placed down, a counter-striking Jax behind you, Rel jumping in with her ult. There's so many things.
Nãy giờ ứng cái đập chat thôi nè.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to see him being able to get it done, but then also Crisp, Xiaohu.
Tại vì vòng bảng JDG nữa 2 lượt team về trước Weibo thầy. Thằng Weibo mà yếu sao mà nó vô được lay off tới lần này thiệt. Không hiểu được. Nhưng mà con Azir với thằng kia cũng vừa Azir tăng. Nên là nó tạo đột biến được chứ không.
There is a Rift Herald coming up in 50 seconds. That dragon's still about a minute and 35 off here. So I wonder if JDG want to put more prio on pushing the tempo.
Nó cầm rắc nó yến đầu kinh thật.
Yeah, and I definitely think they should with the advantage they have.
JDG.
Ủa thầy coi cái link nào nhanh thế này?
Link LPL bình thường thôi, cái nào nhanh đâu. Ui, tốc biến làm cái gì đấy? Cái R thì đéo dùng.
Still though, now gonna have to go for the reset. Not really able to stay around lane, could potentially be both. If he does make it down.
Nó chưa hồi rờ. Đừng có đào còn xíu nữa mới học.
It looks like Yusuf, he's like, okay, you know, maybe he's being a bit greedy, not walking all the way back. And you know, if we use his cooldown right now, not the end of the world.
Those plates do fall. They will get crash on bottom side and use those 4 grubs to help in that push a little bit. Looks like it should be answered in time. Okay, they're just going to TP Xiaohu down here. They're bringing Xiaohao and Chris. This dragon's going to be spawning in about 30 seconds. Oh, they do see him there.
Đánh nét nét.
Just look look at the vision control for JDG on bot side. They are absolutely stacked with knowing anywhere that Weibo can show up. Dragon up in 15. I wonder if Weibo's just gonna end up opting out, looking to not play for it. Again, they have Kalista, so it feels like they really should.
Yeah.
But maybe feeling a bit of the pressure that JDG have been putting up.
And it's going back to the things we said about, Xiaohao getting pressured in his jungle. It's a little bit later than I'd say those pressures we saw in the past two series, but Na'Vi has consistently been either forcing Xiaohao to respond to his games or just pressuring Xiaohao himself, not only on the map with these objectives, but in his jungle as well. We see a second dragon going to JDG.
But do opt out of contesting, so it does mean they should be able to get this Rift Herald. They're already making their way up here now. Now it's going to be about seeing both Flandre and Xiaohu back off a little bit so they don't end up getting dove on either side.
Oh, Xiaohu missing. He's right over the wall. He's going to be able to join up on it. It looks like Weibo were not confident to do the Rift Herald. They were trying to go mid lane and catch out Ruler, but a side lane turret will go down, and that's first turret of the game.
Yeah, they're still angling for the dive.
Tài trận này thì đi rồi.
Navi's on this side of the map now.
Có đánh đâu.
Đợi một cây chân. Đợi một cây chân.
Bây giờ muốn tài kill thì thằng Weibo phải dãy được cơ. Chứ không thì mà đánh một chiều thì đéo bao giờ ra được. Chẳng lẽ lại 24 không? Giờ gì đông kiểm soát hết rồi. Ao mẹ 3k tiền.
Có cơ thể cái
Giờ đánh cái gì nữa? Giờ nó cứ ăn rồng xong win thôi. Địt mẹ phút 16 được 3 mạng. Chắc tầm mười mấy mạng là hết game rồi.
Chắc bây giờ đánh giờ thua.
Chắc là 15 không. Đoán trận chắc 15 không. Bọn kia đéo giết được mạng nào. Nhìn đội hình của bọn Di Đông. Nhìn đội hình bọn Di Đông này địt mẹ mà thì giết kiểu gì? Máy ra giết thằng Ruler. Địt mẹ 4 thằng kia giết hộ.
Xiaohu sẽ là được.
Là cái gì đấy?
Xiaohu ghê lắm.
Lùng má cả đội mỗi thằng Xiaohu mẹ kinh thật. Lại toàn óc chó kinh. JDG tốt kiểm soát.
Kiểm soát giùm đội bạn.
Lại còn rồng gió đó thì đánh bao giờ đánh nhau. Free 4 con rồng Di Đông. Trận anh em đi xỉu tham. Hợp lý và cờ. Đi ăn rồng ngàn tỷ sớm end game sớm rồi. Ui JDG. Ao 30 lính. Dừng ao 40 lính. Con mẹ đánh cái gì? Dình bắt được thằng này này. Bắt được không?
Được, chắc chắn là được.
Một mạng an ủi. Một mạng an ủi.
Cái mạng của Xiaohu. Ủa, thầy có cái link nào nhanh vậy?
Tao cũng xem link đấy thôi. Do mày chậm. Mày bình luận
LPL đúng không? LPL đúng không?
Mày có bình luận đeo đâu, nhanh chậm làm cái gì?
Giờ một con bát nổ ra 5/5.
Tí nữa mà đi về cái kèo âm 2.5 mà Red ngon vào luôn.
Rồi dí căng này. Tele.
Flandre just living his best life. Again, has an advantage, feels comfortable pushing the wave out, but look at the minimap. You don't really see any member of Weibo other than Light, so Weibo doing a nice job of taking advantage of Flandre's hubris. Just a really nice 1-2 combo to be able to take him down.
Tính là thằng Andre dạo này đánh đâu có hay nữa đâu. Kiểu nghỉ một mùa xong bị ăn cái trình cái gì.
Không sao, anh có cúp. Anh có cúp là được rồi Di ơi.
Đúng rồi, em có cúp. Anh cho Vi có cúp không?
Đúng, cho Vi tuổi đéo ấy.
And they were able to get that 2-kill bot side, which I think really helped them
Mình giành là 2 giờ đến
move
cúp.
their pressure around the rest of the map. Now we have a dragon in about 50 seconds. That would
Cho
be
Vi
so
thật cho Vi cả đời đéo giờ cúp luôn thể. Cả đời đéo giờ vô địch.
Dude, our observers are out for blood today.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta say though, like this does harken back to again. I feel like JDG are just one of those teams that is incredibly consistent in many different areas. They haven't been making mistakes for Weibo to exploit, and hell, with the tempered pace they've had, they've actually been doing a great job of taking advantage of Weibo's mistakes.
Yeah.
Bọn này chơi game chill chill nhỉ, địt mẹ nó cứ đẩy trụ các thứ thôi, farm trông chán điên. Đéo biết đến mùi đánh nhau là gì.
JDG have been able to keep up, like still just the amount of vision they have around this dragon is insane, and it looks like Weibo once again not even gonna opt into fighting this one, giving JDG a free soul point.
Each tier of the LPL playoffs
Con này chắc chắn là 23-1.
is just like a whole new power arc in any anime that you've ever watched, right? It is actually insane. The level of the
Fan chill chill.
every single game, and they're only a couple days apart.
Lồn này chỉ đẩy trụ
And
thôi.
that they've been able to study their opponent. They've been
Cái
able
lồn
to
thì có tiền
craft
thưởng
a strategy
hài hước vậy.
to really take down Weibo.
Phút
And
20
at least
rồi.
the early strength right now
Mẹ
is
ao có 2k
showing
tiền cũng có
that
tiền
all
thưởng
that
á,
time,
địt
all
mẹ
that
game lồn.
preparation, that third seed was there for a
Game
reason.
lồn
They
trâu
won
à?
that GA.
Đúng rồi, cái gì
Yeah,
đó.
if they can keep this up, it'll be huge. A lot of people are questioning why.
Vậy cái game 2 mình làm xỉu mà nó đánh đúng đùng đùng.
In the, I believe it was 6 series.
Mai có gặp anh Châu Vi không hay hả?
And hell, if JDG can.
Mai có
Mai
game
có
gì?
gặp anh Châu Vi chứ.
Game gì đánh lựa nào đấy?
Game mai có Ôi đánh nhau rồi.
Lồn combat kiểu gì trông hời hợt thế? Thằng này
Sát
lao
thương
vào
nhỏ.
để cống hiến à? Combat kiểu đéo trông hời hợt đấy.
Yeah, so 3 ults being used by JDG.
Thì bạn Canavi nó khỏe đi.
Used by Weibo, and then also the heal on top of that. So pretty
Ao gần,
even
siêu
fight,
hao.
but at the same time, if you're JDG, you're just like, hey, we're chilling for the next 4 minutes anyway. Like, sure, we can use things like the Weaver's Wall, took the picks, we're able to get Cryo and Signs right now and try and collapse. But if they can't fight anything, it's not the end of the world. Weibo's going to have to fight them.
Ai lồn đi rừng nó farm địt con mẹ mày ao 50 lính nữa. Thôi. Lại là Xiao Hào à? Xiao Hào với Xiao Hu địt mấy cái đội kìa.
Bạn của Xiao chào mừng.
Xiao Pheng.
Xiao La Hu.
Xiao Su.
I would say at this point the pillar of JDG. They have
Xiao
continuously
Si.
molded rosters around this guy, and I think in
Yeah,
a year of
Kirikou.
renaissance for him, it feels
Gì?
right.
Mẹ đập liếu mẹ lưỡi.
I mean, right, this has been the time.
Giải cặt địt mẹ.
Delivering. I love it. The aggression.
Bọn lồn quyết tâm không giết người.
Playing around about right.
Yeah, but they being in Weibo's face.
Xiao
they're so
Lôn,
aggressive,
mẹ về
especially
sau. Sang LPL tao đặt tên là Xiao Lôn.
Weibo have been
Nhớ đúng không?
to have gone for the sneaky Baronson.
Ai lấy hiệu quả của bạn tải không?
Sneaky. I don't got anything to add.
The sneaky bear.
It's a sneaky base. I was gonna go with something that maybe rhymed a little bit better, but
Ăn
now
bà
it's
giòn
JDG that
luôn
don't do
à.
it
Cái
sneakily.
trận
They're
đấu
just
sảng
gonna do
lồn
it.
chưa?
I guess it's not envisioned right now.
Cái đéo biết luôn mà.
You realize something could be amiss. Already about halfway down is the Baron Xiaohao guiding his boar over. Destiny did get popped. ZDZ on the flank here. Ruler already about half out.
Kêu gì đánh
The
Baron
engage
luôn
comes
rồi.
through from JDG now as well, though.
Căng.
Light getting engaged on by missing. Chains of Corruption not going to hit the cleanse.
Come on.
Xiao who's doing some serious work here. They've already gotten Ruler down. Weibo have some fight left to give. Oh no, they get Xiao. He's going to go. Is he? No, he's
Rồi.
not down. He finally falls. Xiao
Rồi.
goes down to Flandre. Crisp
Tàn
is
vỡ
stuck
chưa?
between a rock and a rock.
Rồi.
And
Cứ
he's
Baron.
just dead. JDG.
Đi chưa?
They end up scrapping
Chưa,
right
chưa,
back.
chưa.
Now they're back onto the Baron.
Oh wait.
CDC,
Không chơi được.
he denies them.
Này chạy kiểu gì đây? Chạy kiểu gì đây?
Anh ơi anh làm
Good shot, trying his best. He is a tanky boar, but he will
Mười kêu
end
nha.
up just the same. Missing's the one that claims that one.
Sao
Yeah, they do get it. They actually can't turn back around. They don't have their AD carry. They don't have their mid laner. Death timer's incredibly low. Huge lead for JDG. Great fight. It looked like it was promising with how much Crisp and Xiao invested to keep on top of Ruler. But JDG's front line is being more menacing right there, missing. It's right on top of Light. The guy's dishing out the damage on him. Sure, it's traded out on the opposite side for Ruler. doesn't feel like without the Kalista, and especially with Xiao who's so exposed after going in, how are they going to be able to deal damage, especially with the bruisers and Jackson's in Jackson?
The biggest thing is there was a lot of miscommunication and dysfunction within that, because Xiao Hu was pushing away from Chris, where Chris was trying to get a big ol' engage. Now we go back to it because JDG know they can just force the fight. The Baron is going to go to Kanavi. He has that Crescent Guard to deny any damage from Weibo, and they know that they have so much control of the map they can just dictate the tempo.
Weibo have been brought into uncharted territories. Hell, we've been brought to uncharted territories. Like, Weibo have been having, especially pretty solid game ones, right? Game ones and game twos, where they've been winning out, been pretty dominant. JDG flipping the script on his head, saying, hey, we don't care if he 2-0'd us like 3 weeks ago. They're looking good that they've had.
And with this roster, like, they were the expected second seed, right? Like, it was a last-minute, very strong push from TS that got them to third seed. And JDG tried to do all the work they could. And now they are here against the surging Weibo to try to stop the advance. Weibo themselves a couple seconds away from a dragon spawning with very heavy presence from mid lane. Might be able to deny this soul.
Again, Weibo showing some of their strengths, some of the things that we know. Again, like how to play the map, how to try and pull the enemy away from what they're going for. But it just feels like it's probably too late at this point. Now he's gonna hope to steal it.
He wants the 50-50. Oh no, CDZ. Oh, what happened, bro? He's gone. Xiao. He wants it. He's in the pit. Xiao gets it. Then the soul and gets out of dodge. What a play.
I gotta be honest. I know we then panned back to top. I could not care about top lane in that situation. It was all about whether the steal could happen. So they do get themselves that, buy themselves a bit of a reprieve, but JDG still.
Why did JDG let this happen?
Địt mẹ mày cướp rồng bịp. Bán tải tham. Bao giờ tải kill đi.
After that one, they do still have Baron buff for about a minute. Getting side lane pressure as well on the top side, getting a team Xiao Hu as well, but the pressure.
Đánh thêm trận nữa tải kill nhá.
As a tier 2 is just gonna fall. They are breaking the base one by one. Almost all of the towers outside of the base are gone.
And that's why even if it's a bit of a reprieve, and they're finding some turrets inside, it doesn't really feel like it matters. JDG do a great job.
Nghe ta gọi là cái thế rộng trường.
For another 40 seconds, so they're going to be able to finish off this last outer turret. The question is, do they push any further?
Cái thế rộng trường. Không bác.
Come back out onto the map.
Chưa dùng sức phù 5 thằng.
It's crazy that a JDG
Không phải là số
that
301 à?
seemed so
Anh ấy
dominant
NT 5
last
thằng.
year already, coming in with some different pieces this year, some re-additions it feels like, but also just a different feel to them, where it has been not, I would say, the star-spangled at least journey that they would want in a spring. They've had some trials, some rough times, but as a whole, it's been really cool to see them kind of collapse around Kanavi.
It just feels, like a
Vì thưởng thức mạnh
less polished
có niềm tin nữa nè.
JDG, right? Like the way they play is very similar with
11 kill thì thiếu thôi.
feels a bit more controlled. There's a lot
13 kill thôi.
how they play through the 5v5s. Not just about,
Combat chết tầm 8 thằng mà kêu em
like all these different things, right? So I think it feels comfortable, but it definitely doesn't look like JDG have completely found their footing. Makes sense also, you're bringing Flandre back in on the roster when he has been playing the last few series, even with Shea, right? Like a young rookie player coming in, it feels like JDG are going to take time to get up to 100%.
And that's the craziest part, man. That's the absolute craziest part. But we also have to remember that their lives are on the line with this series. So starting off with a 1-0, upending maybe a little bit of the track record of Weibo, where they have gone strong for 2 games in the early parts of their series already. And trying to upset fate in their own way. Now, they are putting some more siege down. All the turrets outside of the base had been taken out in the end by JDG. ZDZ's on the other side, trying to get some tier 2 action.
Yeah, he's just trying to get
subjective
bounties and help Weibo find a way back into the game. Luckily for Weibo, there's no neutral objective, right? We're waiting 2 minutes for Dragon, a minute 30 for Baron, so
thì ba đồi
in their base, as long as they don't walk into their own jungle when those
chia ba
should
đồi.
be fine, and you can see they've been holding on for the past 2 minutes thanks to that.
đang lên team 5.
We have 3 items now as well for majority members on Weibo's side, actually. So maybe a little bit of strength given over to Light Xiaohu, ZDZ, a little bit more as well. Some tankier stats coming in for JDG as well, as they were able to complete the Spirit Visage for Kanavi. And get 3rd item for Ruler as well on the Lethality Varus.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to have to play fights differently than they did last time. I understand Xiaohu flying in and trying to find the angle on the Ruler, because again, playing without it,
Đi
he's playing
mẹ mà
far
đánh ai
back.
nè support
But it
vãi
kind of
lùn
feels
rác.
like he actually has to be one of the people right next to Light,
Đấy.
like utilizing the Emperor's Divide to try to help make sure he can deal damage, and maybe relying more on like ZDZ and Crisp being the
Dạ,
ones
phải
to
rồi.
be able to get right onto Ruler. But I don't know, then it's
Duy
like
cho
you
kèo
have
chết
the
tươi
damage
luôn
if
nữa,
they
kinh
got
thật.
Ruler in a situation like that, and then Light's vulnerable, Xiaohu's in another precarious position like he
Ủa,
was last time, so
chưa chết
there's a lot
mà.
of questions to be seen with how Weibo can approach
Vẫn
Sử
còn
this
tham.
fight.
I will give them
Thầy
credit
cho
though.
sử
If
tham
they
cũng
had
túc
given
cũng
over the
khỏe.
soul, they'd be in a much different position here as 5 minutes have gone down.
Sử
And
tham
I
33
think
cơ mà.
them being able to delay, them
Chết
being
kiểu
able
Sử
gì?
tham có 32
to
rồi
spike
ra.
another
Chết kiểu gì?
Đâu ra 33.
really
Giờ ăn
Xiaohu
Amazon win luôn đây
is
này.
important. And they
Không
have
có cái
about
sử
35
tham là 33
seconds
trong
or
tập
so, a
này.
little bit more than that to
Biệt.
set this one up for themselves.
Giờ ăn
Deny
Amazon
yet
win luôn
another
này.
one. And see
Bọn kia
Xiaohu
ra chết
come
sạch
up
luôn.
clutch against Kanavi.
Again, Weibo's one of those teams that, like, if you look at their goal difference from like 10 to 20 minutes goes down, and then like 20 to 30 minutes is low 30s is when it starts going back up. So these are really the
Ăn thôi chứ còn đợi cái gì nữa.
Ngon mắt mà. Thấy ăn rồi.
Oh.
Being part of 78 kills,
Oh.
trying to make
Giờ
sure they
vô
don't
kiểm
get
soát
anywhere
đánh nhau.
near this Baron.
Well, this is bold. I like it. TP is available for Flandre, Destiny, for ZDZ. Kanavi does end up pulling off the Baron, just trying to get Weibo's pressure towards here. They're really trying to get ZDZ to pull the trigger on the Destiny.
Weibo actually now
Ý.
threatening the Baron themselves.
They
So
can't
Ngồi
get
vào nhau
caught,
rồi.
though. They can't get caught. Here comes Yagao.
Thằng
That's
ai
a
gì
big
đâu.
Emperor's Divide, but
Thằng
it
ai gì
did
vẫn
not
được chọn.
separate
Thằng
enough.
Canavi đi.
Corruption is going to connect on multiple members.
Thằng Canavi đi.
From the side,
Thằng Kiêu
ZDZ,
cũng đi.
he has his eyes on
Thằng dắt
Kanavi.
tới.
Kanavi's
Chán
on
không
low.
thành công.
Meanwhile, on the other
Thằng
side,
Kalista
Xiaohu's
được
getting taken
quánh.
out. Flandre, he's going for it. Nice flash from Chris.
Thấy không?
Really
Thấy
good.
không?
Weibo still have some fight here too, as Light needs to find an angle. Xiaohu
Bóc
will
cái
be
bài
the
vàng
front line
lên.
right now. Andre and the rest of JDG, they have a good angle to deny Weibo back to their base. Dragon is still up on the table. Weibo need to fight their way out of this one. They're going to get a TP in from Yagao. He has flash. They got to fight beforehand, but they realize they can't. Xiaohu trying to get out of this one. ZDZ flashing. Big seismic shove, and Yagao makes the
Hồi lính
difference.
là nghe.
Crisp is just a little itty. It will be run
Endgame
down
luôn.
by the real weapon of JDG and
Là Baron.
Flandre.
Great team
Mid
fight
win
coming out
luôn.
from JDG. They're not even looking to go towards that dragon. Looks like they're hoping they can just end this game.
Wow,
They know
what
after
a
30
way.
seconds.
It's close.
Xiao
Xiao
chao.
can't dodge anything, and that is it.
Nào, nó bình Baron này, thấy chưa?
House, that's a full-on ace for JDG. They'll take a mid lane inhib.
Yeah, okay, so they ended up sending Flandre to Dragon. They initially started to
Ủa,
down towards
17
the
rồi nha,
help
vẫn còn hot.
Take what you can on the map, get the inhibitor, get the Drake back off, and I wonder if they'll even just pivot straight towards the
Sử kêu sử tham là bộ là cúc.
right now.
They were willing to just two-man it earlier, so I'm sure they're
Kèo của em thì
fine
còn
with
hot,
this.
kèo của thầy thì béo.
Close for so long.
Kèo tao âm 1.5 mà.
Just seemed to hold it.
I mean, the big
Đừng
thing
có
here is the
mịt.
fact that Light doesn't get jumped on because the Jack
Kèo tao âm 1.5 di động mà.
threats, being put on
Nãy vừa kêu cho cái gì sử tham.
onto Kanavi, but Xiaohu
Tao
again
cho lúc nào đấy mày
finds
quay lại live mày nghe
by
thụ tao cái.
putting himself in awkward situations that allows for
Nói
JDG
kêu
to
là
find
kèo
a
này
way
sử
to
tham đẹp nè.
Tao bảo xỉu tham đẹp.
Hồi nãy
Tao,
còn-
tao không bỏ anh em vào xỉu tham nha.
the fight being in JDG's favor.
Chuẩn chưa?
Damage has been done.
Được, không lạ người lương.
1,000 gold lead for JDG.
Cứ tua lại like mà nghe.
They'll have all the seed
Kẹo mày
potential
chết
they could
năm
ever
thằng
ask
nữa.
for, and they just
Sống
need
vào
to
mắt.
catch
22
one big
kill hết
fight
tỷ.
in the game.
Có cái mid.
Lồn trận này lấy đâu ra 23,5 vậy?
Feels so hard now for Weibo. Even a
Một bây giờ đẩy win luôn này.
For JDG, we can see things like Zanius being picked up now for Flandre, be able to survive a bit longer, get another rotation of spells out. To be able
Bây giờ đè ra cái bất lẽ này là Yagao.
But now with this Baron, they're going to be able to do
Hoặc là
so
thằng
much on
Ruler.
the map. Weaver's wall is back up as well, so you can have Yagao in either mid or bot and then able to join up with the rest of the four-man core. Just a lot of different options available for JDG.
Xem là
You can take your pick. You have your cake ready too, if you want.
Không biết luôn.
Best thing to do. And then that's when you could get a bit overconfident, and then that's how
What
you
kind of
can
game
lose
is
the fight.
JDG? And that's how Weibo do it. I see. You're just believing. You're
Cake yet? This is just game one. You don't break out the cake until after winning 2 games. then that's when you could get a bit overconfident, and then that's how we could end up getting a fight.
Trời ơi, bộ là bằng.
That's how Weibo do it. I see. You're just
This.
believing. You're manifesting. Oh, he's manifesting his way onto the back line. He's all by himself, but it doesn't matter because he's able to take it down, use that Zanyas he completed. Chains of Corruption goes a little bit wide. A lot of damage there onto Weibo's back line, though. They're on to the Nexus turrets. Here Yagao just peppering those rocks on the other side. Eventually, they will pile on to a boulder here. JDG with the first Nexus turret gone. Weaver's wall coming across. Everybody off. Now they just need to get this Nexus turret down.
Không nổi 20 kill luôn. Đéo đánh nhau luôn. Đéo đánh nhau luôn, đéo chết ai luôn. Địt mẹ mày được chưa? Đéo chết ai luôn. Rúc luôn. Kinh thật. Địt kinh thật. Địt mẹ mày nó đứng im chết mẹ luôn, kinh thật. Đéo đánh nhau luôn mà. Hỏi chấm.
Are so prepped for wave. Like at every turn
Ôi chúng tôi
had strategies to deal with their side lane. They had
Lại cả lần trốn, thịt mẹ trốn luôn này. Vãi
because they had such a lead that Weibo couldn't do what they wanted to do. And that is where we've seen Weibo falter. Again, you said they have not lost a first game in the series so far. And now we'll see if they can bounce back for game number 2. JDG looked dominant. We'll come back after a short
Địt mẹ thể thao hèn hạ, địt mẹ thể thao hèn nhát. Thà chết chứ không chịu hy sinh. Óc chó Huy bù mình. Từ sau đôi ta lại không xuất phát.
Chuyện hay đi gì thầy đăng kết ơi kìa.
Âm 2.5 anh em ơi.
Trừ kêu hả? Thật á?
Không, chấp game chứ, 3-0. Ăn to luôn này.
Thật luôn.
Ôi kẻo
Này
money
cũng phi
line
về.
mẹ. Sao địch nó đánh giá của Weibo này cao nhỉ? Kẻo money line Jin ăn 1.6 ạ.
Thiệt theo dụ đó.
Dụ à? Địch mẹ trông
Ừ.
à?
Hồi nãy á, Viking đó này. Cái gì ta? Manila ăn tới 2.4.
Cút
Là
luôn.
hiểu không? Không.
Cút đúng không?
Manila, Viking vẫn ăn. Cái thằng kèo kia nó để là kèo trên. Đấy, thế nó mới ảo.
Địch mẹ thằng team secret và kèo trên á.
Ừ.
Ai lồn đấy tao mà biết tao vào cả
Đùa.
người địch mẹ mà em sọp rồi. Sọp xúc bot mà nó dám địch mẹ mà để kèo dưới ạ.
Thế nó mới ảo.
Đần độ. Weibo nó lấy cái lồn ra gì ra để win vậy ta?
Mấy cái nãy thầy vừa nói. Thì đó. Cái rồi.
Nhìn đội hình trong Sida cắm lợn địch mẹ.
Wifi đó và điểm mặt bên em tự nên là bên em bắt được tôi với mày hai bên mặt có bên em sẽ có với một
Mẹ mấy con chó rổ Hàn Quốc trả cược đi xem nào.
lúc giờ hiện tại là anh muốn dùng
Trả cược lâu vai cẳng.
thấy không có cửa win. Trong vòng playoff thì nó bung bài khó. Hồi xưa thằng Gam nó còn win được thằng gì đó FPS thì test đi một game nè, đuổi thằng Trung Quốc về nước.
Tao vào game đấy.
Đúng chưa? Mẹ đến thằng yếu như vậy nó còn có thể win được thì một khi đã bung bài ra thì không gì là không phải. Đừng có đùa.
À thế à?
Đúng vậy. Đúng nha.
Đéo 3-0.
Có cái nhịp 3-0.
Làm cái tài Q map 2 không nhỉ? Kết cái tài Q map 2 có ta.
Nó có những sỏi sỏi cái bài không được này không ra được không nó lại đi thằng ấy rồi.
Đi chung một chuyến ga đời.
Để nó kết thúc câu chuyện của mình. Còn bạn biết game sau như nào Ben tuyết anh không biết hôm nay thầy đăng có hơn không? Cho thầy đăng lên thử kèo. Đấy. Thầy đăng lên cấm truyền hình đi thầy,
Hả?
lên cấm truyền hình đấy.
Mày theo à?
Thầy ngáo không, em chỉ coi thầy có hơn hay không, hay là sao để cho em coi là thầy hơn.
Welcome back, everyone, to the LPL Spring Playoffs. We are here in a round 3 matchup between Weibo and JDG. Weibo have had a heck of a run so far, but they have been halted in this one as JDG read them like a book in game number 1, Lyric.
Yeah, JDG came out swinging. We're going to bring up that MVP right now. And it is Flandre again, brought in Overshear for this series. A lot of questions being asked, but it seems like maybe the call was, hey, again, invest in Flandre, prevent Weibo from being able to play their game through sides, at least in regards to ZDZ. And that was the plan that was able to work out. And then once we got into team fights, again, he was finding such big impact with the Counter-Strike, being able to leap on top of the AD carry time and time again. Zell was beautiful.
It really was.
Flandre performance.
And it feels like they brought him in as a powerhouse against ZDZ, right? A lot of the focus early was to just go up there and kind of prod ZDZ a little bit. Then Flandre could utilize his strength elsewhere, and they felt confident that the TF wasn't going to have that big of an issue. And it turns out they did, right? Like, they just had so much pressure around the map because as soon as they saw anybody, they could go for engages.
Exactly, and again, they were super decisive. It was something I really liked about JDG in this game. I mean, even not about Flandre, but that, like, flash, seismic shove coming out from the Gal was beautiful. Like, they were just, the second they saw the window, they would absolutely go for it, and that was something that was just night and day to what we've seen from Weibo. Again, like in the regular season, in their past series, like it's been a flaw time and time again.
That's why it's so crazy that, you know, we got the Gal Talia that was going to side lanes early. It was like, it was just Weibo were given a little bit of their own medicine, and I think that comes to the conversation in a little bit of the serious one at the Weibo draft for game number 1. They had blue side, they had the potential to grab the Renata if they wanted to in that first phase. They ended up going with the Azir, and while Xiaohu had some big engages, it didn't feel like the big difference maker there in this draft, maybe bringing up some questions.
Yeah, I mean, hell, they could have picked a Talia, right? Like, the Talia was open, they could have gone for that instead of the Azir. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of going Sejuani with 4 range champions. The Kalista not able to really find any impact, and that really hasn't been one of Weibo's strong suits to play compositions of this style. And yeah, I mean, we saw it fight them like it has consistently so far in playoffs. That's where their losses have come from.
So now it's about retooling and revamping a team that we've known to be extremely slow, but can you go slow against JDG, against this roster who will just choke you out? And that's exactly what they did in game number 1. So finding a way to draft around your strength, still having some of that side lane pressure, maybe even looking, does LeBlanc come into the mix at all for Xiaohu? Things like that, where I think we need to see that adaptation quickly for Weibo, where they don't want to go down themselves 2-0.
It feels hard, though, because, again, like, it's not like Weibo can just say, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Like, JDG have bans, JDG have picks, JDG have... Hell, I mean, right, they tried to lean into that. They first picked the TF, but it didn't work. And, you know, I'm usually on the side of, like, I'm okay with teams being one-dimensional. Being, like, one-dimensional has shown it can work in the LPL. It's worked in the past. But the problem is when you run into a team that, again, has the skill, has the tenure, has all the things to be able to match you and figure that one style out. And this is where Weibo, it's going to get a bit dicier. Like, what else can they lean on if the Tristana, if the Maokai is just going to keep being banned?
I think also another thing for me is maybe it didn't matter in this first game.
Game này win lại cho anh em nè. Bây giờ phân tích nhẹ nhẹ cho anh em dễ đánh luôn.
Maybe go find a way to get the way to get anything else for some different roam engagers, but also for late, find a consistent late game carry. I need to see this guy going toe to toe against Ruler in a late game team fight because that's where he's succeeded in the past, and that's the test that put in front of him.
Thằng Weibo nó không dễ nổi gì đâu anh em.
Weibo are so good at being able to find ways to like make the game go a bit longer than it should. So they're able to get. Yeah, they're able to get those.
Anh em nên nhớ nha, dù sao mùa trước là nó cũng vô được chung kết á, chung kết thế giới. Còn mấy thằng kia là cút hết á. Vô layoff mà không ai biết được ai đâu. Đúng theo. Đúng vậy không theo.
And it's moments like that where at least you have that insurance policy.
Cút một game đâu.
Like that needs to be lights roll.
Mà chứ có đời sai gì đời sai chứ anh mà quan trọng là cái chiến thuật của cái mặt pro của nó thì nó cũng sẽ là cái mùa bộ cung thủ thôi. Anh em phải coi nè, ví dụ như anh em bảo rồi thằng ấy là cái cửa win viên ít nhất nó là một đội LPL. Còn cái đội mà ví dụ hồi xưa thằng sinh linh của thằng Sọp á, nó có bao giờ win được thằng TRqədC không đúng không? Nó có bao giờ win được đâu. Nó chưa bao giờ win thằng TRqədC trong LPL năm. Nhưng mà vô chung kết thế giới nó bùng bài ra nó đánh cho bên phía TRqədC ngá thở vậy. Weibo nó ngu lắm. JDG chỉ 6-7 năm. Cho nên thì với thầy cũng sẽ coi lại đó, bạn một cài chiếc Tana Ash, Weibo thì bạn và rớt Vi, Nico. Giờ còn Ari nè. Thằng Gaga đến Ari ha. Cái sai đánh này nó công rồi. Weibo rồi nó công. Rồi nó công Ari. Kalista thì không biết trước rồi đâu. Còn Nautilus thì nó không. Nếu Weibo lấy thì nó lấy Kalista thì sẽ lấy luôn con đầu tư rồi. Kalista chắc lấy nốt đầu tư rồi. Tính bồ. Thật đó. Đúng hạng rồi. Mình thấy được con AD bên của thằng JDG là cái gì hay là mình đánh cái gì vậy?
This is something that ZDZ has found a lot of success on. His Rumble is open and available. He goes.
Yeah, so they go for that and try and guarantee themselves some prio top. I wonder if Weibo are putting such practice this early because they're afraid of Ruler taking away. It was one of the most banned champions against JDG throughout the season. And it looks like it is going to end up pushing Ruler onto the Lucian. I will say though, the Lucian Nami.
Mẹ Weibo cộng tới cái năm.
Like when I think of Lucian Nami in the LPL, it's, you know, the first bot lane duo that comes to mind.
There is no sitting back and enjoying the roller coaster.
Weibo cộng tới cái năm
nha. Those old roller coasters that every single roll of the wheel is like a nudge to one side. You're just getting thrown all over the place because they absolutely want to take the fight to you in the 2v2. I like this from Weibo though. The Talia finally comes out for them, and they'll have that mobility.
Mình đéo tin là thằng JDG nó vả Weibo trắng game này rồi. Một cặp playoff đánh nó khác lắm. Game 1 anh em coi tới giờ nó phải bung bài đó rồi.
Mày đéo tin à?
Em đéo tin. Em đéo tin luôn.
15-0 trận này.
Thầy đánh giá thằng JDG quá cao. Em nói thật, thầy đánh giá nó hơi cao.
29 trận này.
Thầy nên nhớ là JDG ở trong cái vòng bảng á là nó thua Weibo nha. Nó thua Weibo một cặp PO3 nha. Ủa, thằng JDG thua Weibo một cặp PO3 mà thầy.
Giờ nó ỉa mẹ mà chết đít luôn này.
Nghe thì hay đó. Chưa biết mẹ nào nói nào. Thằng này là da gao chứ không phải là nhớ nhất. Thằng mít là thằng da gao chứ không phải thằng nhà Nam. Thứ hai thằng Pháp và thằng Lâm chứ nếu phải 369 nhiêu đó hay là được.
I think Rakan would be the look in my mind for Chris because he's more engaged, pairs well with the Kalista, and is hopefully going to be able to set ZDZ up to find some huge equalizers.
Tải kim cho nó dễ nhỉ mẹ mày. Xỉu kim.
Trận này thầy nằm Weibo hay còn anh em thích nghe ai thì nghe. Hứa luôn thằng JDG mà bích lui vi xin cho Canavi tầm này là cút chạy vào thấy đéo được.
Hôm nay Hà Nội buồn lắm một cơn mãi rơi cũng như anh mong cho dòng ký ức
Đánh tự tin quá thì chết rồi.
dùng cảm xúc vẽ nên hình ảnh em bằng
Bích đội hình bên phía của JDG quá tự tin.
chỉ là những phim đã bị thời gian phai mờ bởi vì em không phải là người con gái dành cho anh, có duyên để gặp nhưng không có phận thì dù có cố cũng chẳng thành, giấu tên em trong từng bản nhạc vì họ không biết em là ai, anh cũng chẳng biết để cảm xúc.
Thầy nghe nhạc cái trên YouTube thôi, không sợ bị đánh bản quyền.
Bài này thì có bản quyền em.
Bài này có
đi mà.
Và nếu nắng gió có cuốn em đi như là lời hứa ta đã nói lúc chia ly, là bài hát mà
mấy
anh
bài
biết sẽ không bao giờ có em bởi vì em là người con gái nên sắc hoa nhiều người tệ, còn anh chỉ là chàng nghệ sĩ với khu vườn
nhưng mà cái beat
sáng và thơ.
cái beat là
cái này
nó
là
đàn điệp đàn đúng không?
điệp đàn mà em, tự đệm tự hát mà.
Cho chúng ta sẽ lại
Kiểu
cái đàn điệp đàn.
cover ấy.
anh yêu em không cần đắn đo không ngần ngại để không phải giấu tên em đi chỉ vì sợ em tổn thương, cho dù anh không còn đủ cảm xúc để viết ra bài hát mang tên Vương.
Nhớ nha, chốt Weibo cộng. Còn mấy anh kia no hot rồi nè, đừng có nghe thầy đun chết
Xin kính chào tất cả các bạn đã đến với TRnhưOC.
Hey bro, Neil.
Đừng nghe Duy anh em ơi.
Quan trọng là anh em phải chọn là ai là người nổi tiếng nhất ở LPL đúng không? Nó phải thầy đun đâu.
This guy has
fuck?
over 780 games played. This is his first Rumble
Mà là thầy Duy à.
competitive, and I
Có thể nghe thầy đun bóng rổ như thầy Duy để nghe
I
LPL.
love it. When they fall down early, they need to find a way to up in JDG. The thing is, this is a
Gì đâu game
titanic
hai được không?
roster.
Được Quốc Vinh
For
ơi,
JDG, it's
đúng
hard.
rồi
They
đấy.
stop them at every turn in game number one, but you gotta keep throwing curveballs.
Làm tí 10 đô đấy, Vinh ơi.
Chi game 2 không thầy không?
It's a game that Weibo
Thầy nằm
wanted
Weibo
to
mà.
take momentum into, at least a series that they were looking to take momentum into.
Cho anh em cái kèo
JDG
Weibo
were
sáng
not
giá.
happy that they were a third seed
Không có
coming
chạy
in
đi
here,
đâu được.
falling down to TES. They feel like they want to make it to that Guardian Angel. They want to go 2-0 up in the series, but what can Weibo fight back with? We're going into game 2 now, where Weibo could even up the series, or JDG move us to match point. Love the setup there. Also, something else to talk about here is the boldness of JDG, grabbing that Rek'Sai first pick on the blue side, but leaning from strength to strength from that game number one. We talked so much about their prep coming into Weibo, a lot of games to watch. It seems like maybe another one where they're going to use Kanavi to try to pressure Xiaohao.
Again, last time, like, Kanavi was being the one up in tempo, looking to make aggressive plays. Xiaohao wasn't really. He was really looking to counter gank. Felt like he gave a lot of windows over to Kanavi. And this time, a lot's just going to be about I think, the bot lane matchup. JDG early on, maybe Gao can try and bully out Xiaohao a little bit before he has enough wave clear to just be able to bully him out, push the wave, start moving. Flandre should have strength.
Rết chuối quá.
So there's definitely a lot of avenues and lanes that Kanavi can play around.
Of an adaptation, they grab Yagao. He definitely plays a little bit more towards Kanavi. Mids have been super important, but I said it last game, and I think I'll say it again, right? He has been the pillar for JDG since coming over from Griffin on loan at first and then permanent.
Westbrook Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, right, he pretty much started his career with JDG.
Việc là nhìn bằng
Xỉu
bi
3
đánh
trong 5 hú chặt rồi.
Mấy triệu.
Trận này chắc 15 kin hết vị. Thằng
Thằng
Weibo này chuyên ra cụt tay mà.
Yeah.
He was the big focal point. He was the big carry on that team. Champion-wise, it's different because back then, that's when Kanavi was the guy playing Kindred, playing champs like Graves. Like, that's what you think were Kanavi for back then. But it's crazy to see all these years later, still able to keep up that same amount of presence and on such a wide variety of champions.
And with so many stars fluctuating around him, he remains the North Star in the sky for JDG. Now, he did end up getting a quick clear on his bot side, backing and then redeploying up towards top side. So trying to utilize the timings really succinctly here.
Trying to play around the strength of the Rex side. Again, Flandre has to show us something. JDG first picked it in this draft, and so far doing incredibly well in this 1v1. We'll see if they can try and set up any avenues to gank, but we can see on the minimap, Flandre's actually moving over to mid. I wonder if he'll just get a ward down or he'll commit, but Flandre is one of the top laners, especially when I'm thinking back to like EDG in the year they won Worlds. He was one of the top laners that would roam down to mid, that would gank for his mid laner and kind of utilize that pressure more proactively.
And that's where I felt like we saw a lot of growth from Flandre in that regard, but also just being able to use that as a strength.
Exactly.
And you have to remember there was a time where we weren't watching Flandre at all. He wasn't playing. And I think to be able to see him come in for JDG and not only I think we watch a lot of the JDG documentaries, he kind of has taken Sheer under his wing, you know, Sheer
nó chơi theo kiểu
him, things like that. Like it's kind of funny in that way,
đánh
but
trấu rỉa đè lên
Flandre still is
đánh ăn mục
that
tiêu.
guy when it comes to it. And I think we saw that in game number 1.
Có những cái con AD mà về lay dù em có đánh Kalista tuần đam thì cũng không chơi game được. Đơn giản là vì meta này nếu như mình có những thằng mid rồi về lay nó mạnh, nó top 3 mà cái thằng AD chết à. Nó cứ ôm thằng AD được bắn. Vậy thà nó lên cái lối xác lực hay là cái gì đó nó làm một lần. Nó bung hết kill ra một lần nó chết còn đỡ hơn là nằm xuống mà đéo bắn cái gì.
Something else I want to highlight from that draft is the fact that we have Xiaohu on the Taliyah. The mobility out of mid lane important. Not level 6 yet, though. And I think ZDZ is going to have to be a little bit more careful against this Rex side of the map. But I think it is... Okay, we're getting a zoom in from the observers. So something's about to happen. Flandre going under tower here. ZDZ looking for the outplay. He does end up pressuring him out of the turret. And ZDZ, he has the Q3 there. Doesn't stop him from getting in the tunnel.
So does manage to escape, but Flandre was hoping for a lot more than that. Flandre was hoping for a solo kill. Not going to be able to find it, but we're getting to a point where objectives are coming onto the map. First spawn of the... I'll say it again, the grubbies?
The telegrubbies. We're sitting down, we're watching some cartoons. It's the telegrubbies. What's Xiaohao learning here? What's he learning? I like to say purple.
He's learning that he's getting a bunch of experience.
Kalista nó có một chiêu quy và em bung như vậy. Ủa, thế là em hơi dọc. Kalista nó anh đi cùng thằng Kalista xác lực rồi đi lên mạnh lắm. Có nghĩa là đầu game mà nếu như mà có một con sub mà nó kiểu có hiệu ứng sốc một cái chết luôn, đánh mà lỗi nó sốc nó chết luôn. Cho nên mình mới nhờ. Dù là hiện cái mùa trước thầy đánh là dù là thầy chỉ mất cao thủ nhưng mà thầy cũng biết được sức mạnh của Kalista xác lực nó như nào. Mùa này thì mới chương 3 chưa đánh rồi. Nó mấy game Weibo cộng á. Cái này Weibo cộng. Cái thảm đất của thằng Talia là nó khắc chế được nhiều chiêu của bên phía thằng JDG đó. Như cái lặn của thằng Redside hay là cái Window của thằng Lee Sin nên thầy không có thấy cái hot nào mà kiểu để cho thằng JDG nó lít nhiều mạng. Win thì có thể chứ mà bảo hủy diệt thì đéo. Thằng Weibo có vẻ yếu. Đánh giá người JDG cao quá. Vô lay off rồi mà đánh giá cao. Mẹ Viking có sọt. Đánh giá cao thì TS á. Thấy nó hủy diệt như tụi kia không? Mẹ vô gặp Viking nó đánh chuẩn, đánh lay off buông bài ra sao biết.
They're actually bringing over Xiaohu as well.
Một
So
khi đã
Hunter's
bung
gonna
bài
make
thì
sure that no sneaky shenaniganry can come out from
kiểu nó bị
Kanavi.
ngợp á nè, kiểu nó không có kịp bắt nhịp kịp cái bài của tụi nó, tụi nó đánh đâu lại.
Does end up walking around the long way, so he won't go for
Thầy
it
chứ hả?
just
Thầy
yet.
cho mã Weibo
Does
cộng.
not have the tippers, but he does
Hey.
have the CC. Xiaohu getting kicked. The CC gonna connect. They're gonna go for it under tower here, but they can't get the damage down. Gao gets out of the seismic shove. JDG's play goes awry. Bot side though, Weibo looking to get their own swing in. Chris tanking the turret. He's gonna go into the Fate's Call. Now they're gonna get first blood too, and they get out alive. A jungle complete, a turret play taken, and Weibo are first to strike.
You could tell they were hoping for more, but still,
bài đây chưa biết ai không
carry. Hopefully, going to be able to deny some CS down in that bot lane and start accelerating the Kalista. ZDZ doing a fine job at being able to survive up in this top lane. So now it's ball's going to be in JDG's court, right? We've seen them try to make some plays.
JDG nó cũng top 3 thôi chứ không phải mạnh mẽ vậy, nó làm như BLG mà tin tưởng. Tin cái đéo rồi.
Flandre is the only big advantage right now for JDG on the map. It's not going to mean much just yet until he starts getting active. Gal with that possibility to make a big play with Kanavi. Again, they have been the tried and true combo, at least of what gets the engine rolling for JDG. I think now we can kind of look at Weibo's conditions here and the team fight potential.
Game này bên kia nó đánh Lucian Nami rồi, đâu lên được xác lực rồi. Lên nhiệt độ đúng rồi, với lại nó có con Lexi. Có con Lexi thì buộc phải lên thôi, chỉ có Lexi đang. Không còn nghe nha. Lone Red hay.
Oh, he did stay. Ooh, the CC not going to be there from Yagao. They do end up taking the chicken nuggies from him, though. They were just hungry.
I mean, the flash, you know, that's a sizable cooldown. Like, maybe it's going to prevent some ganks that Xiao could have been able to find due to that, but still, not really a huge swing for JDG. Both these games actually being completely fine.
Bây giờ nó cứ kẹt Canary vì sao em? Cái đợt ở trong vòng bảng này cái JDG nó vẫn thua thằng Weibo mà. Đúng không? Lúc đó cũng Ruler, cũng Canary, nó vẫn thua á.
They are slow to start but strong to finish, and JDG might be looking at about the same story here.
Đánh giá nó cao quá.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, not going to be able to find it still. I don't know if they would have been able to get a kill off that. Maybe, I don't know if Kanavi's... If Kanavi's ult was back up...
Anh em nên nhớ là một khi đã vào layoff thì đừng bao giờ đánh giá cao một đội quá. Anh em mà vô trong cái sự quan trọng của một game thì anh sẽ cảm thấy mình phải hết sức mình, đúng không? Mình phải bung hết bài vở ra chơi. Giống như khi đại học gì đó, khác gì nhau đâu.
Gao has TP though, and Kanavi's here.
Yeah, they don't know that just yet.
Anh đừng có tele nha.
Tidal wave coming in. Ruler is the focus right now. Fate's Call going to be the play again. Pressing guard out. Ruler's down. President has been taken down, but Kanavi gets one right back.
And already for the flash that he just lost, right? If he had that, might have been able to escape here with the one kill they had.
Hồi xin giao mạng là Lee Sin nha. Xin giao hồi nó carry nhau hơn con Lee Sin.
Really good timing and
đúng rồi, LPL thực sự nhưng mà đánh là để gọi là ao trình, đúng không? Chứ mà ở tinh thần tác đéo nha này, đéo tình 4 con nè. Vô lay off là tinh 4 con nè. Cứ tin là mới là tụi nó sẽ đánh hết sức mình, chứ không có buông.
But without Flash, not able to escape, and even if he had it, I mean, we saw how quickly he was bursted down there. Definitely just getting absolutely deleted. Both junglers already being on those Sundered Skies.
Du là mùa trước thôi, Du là mùa này bình thường. Du là giờ mà so với xạ thủ top 4 ACK thì kể lại thì đó.
Now the grubbies are here. There is no grub getting on the table, but there is 5. That would be huge for JDG to get as a later game help of a win condition.
It looks like they're getting it. I mean, look at the minimap. Yeah, Weibo not even going over. ZZ.
Yo, Flandre just took so many turret shots there. Also a turret plate on the back end. He's missing. Ruler joining him up here. want to make good on his advantage. They can't do it though. The minion wave isn't there.
No, so
he's gonna try and back off. He's kind of baiting them, but
Bring
Crisp is
them
waiting in the wings.
all.
But there's no equalizer on the Rumble.
Oh, the Void Rush coming in, and here comes the Rek'Sai. Crisp is here though. With those harpoons, they sink deep. They're electrifying. ZDZ's got the speed from the Ghost, but he can't make it out even from that Q3 knockback.
I think a bit of a strange play from ZDZ. You know they're doing the objective to like easily rotate the top side. Again, Chris was moving up, but Chris didn't have equalizers at the time. So even him not really providing much help on the Rumble. So really just giving over a free kill to JDG. They at least will be able to answer back with a turret for themselves.
But first turret went to JDG.
Yeah,
No.
huge.
You see 86% win rate when they're getting the first turret. I think now we
Năm nay
actually
VK mà được đi MSI thì thấy
using
VK
their
khó
other side
chéo
of
có
map
hot mà.
pressure to not only get that turret in response, but now
Nếu có tí
they're
hot
also
mà.
taking their second dragon of the game, and that can be a pretty strong way of getting this team composition to team fights.
Anh em suy nghĩ mới debut đã đánh layoff mà còn rung tay mà. Đi MSI
A lot is going to be on Chris being
Đúng.
able to nail that equalizer, and even ZDZ in my mind, since he should be coming into a fight, you know, the tank.
Này có một hai là ấy rồi.
Maybe not now.
Có một hai là thằng
lead and start
cái gì
getting
ta?
a bit accelerated, but tools are
Thằng
there.
Stop Slot với lại thằng VLG ấy.
Going up the top side, has the levers wall.
Well, spotted out on a ward. He has some speed using the wall riding technique there. He's going to just be answering up in this top side of the map. A couple
Anh em nhìn
leads
từ đó có
across the
cân.
map here. Xiao having a decent lead over Yagao now.
Chị
but
thấy anh em cứ bảo vậy.
CS lead. I
JDG
really
hủy diệt.
appreciated the combination that seems very practiced from Weibo with the Rumble Callista combo. Crisp really utilizing the overheat to its utmost before getting pulled back by the Fates call. We've seen them use it twice in the bot lane dives, but how is that going to work in these team fights is the biggest question.
Yeah, like, if they're even getting a chance to team fight, JDG doing a great job right now, pressuring these lanes in mid and bot.
Get so many plates, man. We've gotten 6, 7 already. This is going to be 8 plates. Yagao taking some serious hits.
Oh no,
my God,
it's like
come
the
on.
Azir top all over
Oh my
again.
God. Goodness gracious, Yagao. You love to keep our hearts beating.
You know, again, the problem, like, we've seen this exact mistake before, just on the opposite side of the map. It doesn't end up going back, though, so, you know, no harm, no foul. They're going to be doing just fine. Does relieve the pressure that's going over to Weibo, but...
CV chán thế, chưa thấy mấy trận hay vậy, trận này hay mà. Trận này cái đánh ngang mà. Tại ông thầy Dunkest thì ông cứ đánh giá người đi cao quá.
Again, I don't know if JDG necessarily really want a 5-on-5 fight. They want to be able to pick somebody off, a straggler, or in those 5-on-5 fights, be able to get some big CC chains and target somebody down.
Ủa, Elite với thằng Nip thì có hay vậy.
In transition to objectives, things like that, that is where they can.
Trận này cũng hay.
It does feel like this would be a timing, though, where JDG would be stronger. I mean, Light hasn't finished off his first item yet, and he should be, you know, doing a bit more.
Này vô layoff đánh mình khác lại luôn. Nó đánh rất là kỹ. Lỗi thì lỗi một game thôi, chứ ai mà lỗi nhiều game.
But JDG, I mean, when they've actually been pressuring the map so well, like we saw, if 2 members threatening mid, 2 members threatening bottom, able no answers. I definitely understand the pace that JDG are keeping up.
And the mantra for JDG was, you know, live and die by Kanavi. Get those combination jungle mids, get some combinations to help him get advances early. And he's 2-0 up. Similarly, on the other side, a guy who usually plays very heavy in the facilitation, especially in these playoffs, also having 2 kills, sacrificing his life a little early to get that early gold. But he also has Rift Herald available for him, so some presence on the map. Kanavi looking bot side.
Shadow, of course, does have a ward. Both of these teams. Yagao.
Oh, Yagao. Wind becomes lightning. Gonna take the engage there. 3 talent strike. Not gonna be used just yet because he can't do it. The CC came through. TP's used up plenty. Crisp and caught a little bit by Flandre. Flandre gonna take a flame spitter to the back. Weibo delay the fight and both burning TPs at least, but everybody's bot side.
Yeah, again, both teams feeling so on edge. It seems like first JDG wanting to bring Flandre down. I can understand, right? You see the Zinjao walking forward, wanting to try to punish that. I'm a bit more surprised that Weibo didn't just back off, say, okay, Flandre TP has been used, but both teams were really hoping
Một phút nữa
Are
rồng
you gonna
ra.
overstep? Are you gonna overstep?
Đánh nhau pha này mới là căng thẳng.
Nobody's. That's just pretty much the conversation.
Exactly. In the end, there isn't an overstep to be found. And, you know, let's remember, right? Winning this gets you into that double elim, gets you a date against top esports. Won't be an easy match. I think top esports are very clearly the second best teams in the league, even if on paper, again, coming into the split, maybe JDG looked like it.
Ooh, bubble.
Nice.
Xiaohu getting out of the tidal wave, but a double hit there. Now Kanata can chase it up on a crisp, but not going to take it. They did have to get on a flank, but he doesn't have turret just yet. It's just now coming up.
So there's going to be a bit of opportunity there. First, they want to get bot wave pushed out with Laundry. He'll have an easy avenue into river through that bot side, and it'll make it very hard for Weibo to enter. So you can tell from Weibo, it looks like they're just going to be backing off. Xiaohu already going top to pick up that wave.
He does have TP coming up. They could come down here, but no real big entrance available, and JDG can delay some of that dragon stacking that Weibo were looking for early. It is a ocean dragon as well, which can be sustained fights.
Và đang lợi hơn cái rồng mình đi.
They actually are going to come into this. The equalizer is going to be utilized now as well. Light trying to make his way into the fight. Xiaohu going to use the Weaver's Wall now. Caught out Ruler over the wall. You got stuck. He is in some trouble. He's going to flash his way out there. Nice triple knockback though. The Flandre's on the other side. They still are trying to catch out Kanavi. He's still alive though. Look how much damage the Timbers is doing. And with that Malignance, so much burning on the ZDZ. And the Dragon is JDG's. These teams know how to box, man. And we ain't stopping just yet. Xiaohu's trying to separate, but a big bubble on the Xiaohu. Nobody else gonna go down. Everyone's still alive. The Dragon got taken out, and I couldn't be more entertained.
I'm a bit surprised that Weibo don't get punished for what feels like another very
The
questionable...
flash! Oh my god, Flandre, you Chad! He goes in, Void Rush up plenty too, and they have found the back line. Kanavi's under turret though. He's taking the turret shots. Another one falls, and JDG. Light finds one on the other side though, and gets a big shutdown onto Kanavi. They will end up getting the outer tower here for JDG. Yagao wants a little bit more, but they come out on top in the end, but it's still Weibo giving him a fight.
Still though, I mean 3-2 in kills. They got the dragon. They finished off a turret. That was all JDG. And it must feel so good. Any Flandre enjoyers out there get to see this man come back in on the Rift and show such a good performance in a match that matters most. Like, you need to win this for members by Weibo. Just having been dealt with. Love the ult on the Chris. Great bubble following it up by missing. Sure, Light will find one back on the back half, but again, JDG do such a great job of not hesitating when they see the opportunity present itself.
That's what makes JDG so lethal, and you can see it there. The target selection is so big. Also, who needs single target damage? We can just get multiple knockouts, multiple bubbles, things like that. But you could see they had a distinct plan and who they were going for. Kanavi expertly taking over the turret shot. Obviously, Light had taken an alternate route and found himself wanting there, but I think it shows JDG's strength apart team fights and why we kind of said in the late game it's difficult.
I gotta say though, I'm kind of over Chris bringing out things that he really had.
Oh yeah, you don't like it?
I mean, again, we saw the deco yesterday not yesterday, the day before have almost no impact. And again, same for these equalizers. Sure, you had Cryo in bot lane, a lot of setup there. But as the game goes on, what is Rumble if you're not going to be hitting these massive equalizers, or at least hitting someone with the equalizer, right? The last one very much kind of ended up being just a zoning tool, which I don't know if Label even wanted a zone, considering that they then went for the engage.
A little bit of desync. Oh, speaking of desync, that feels so bad. Ruler burns the flash, the ignite, the ulti, and takes down Light.
My God, that is huge, and that is the Ruler that people have wanted to see, looking for those opportunities. Taking out Light, now going to get a little more freedom on the map. Sadly, not really much.
But we're
going to go straight
quan trọng là pha combat Baron.
So good at.
Yeah, gets buffed up by the Nami. I mean, Ignite comes out. That's really all she wrote. Light not having flash up, not being able to escape.
Ruler has been one of the utmost experts to that kind of fog of war gameplay that we see so prominent with LPL Lucian.
Especially on Lucian,
Yeah, no, exactly. In LPL Lucian's a lot of time in late game, that's what we see them play for. And Ruler has been insane in those moments. Now,
Yeah,
now he's
yeah.
going to have to pull a little insanity of his own. He's just locked down from hell. Flandre has joined the fight, though. He's going to be able to get some good knockups
Giết
here,
hai
but
mạng
he's
mất Baron nha.
joining him. Void Rush to try to get the
Giết
save.
hai mạng
He's
Baron
just
chắc.
going down for the count. Xiaohu cleans him up. And now
Mấy kia
Weibo
tele
can
bắt
move
về
forward
tele
as
ra.
5 on
Giờ
the
đánh hồi
3
máu bắt
members
về
of
tele.
JDG.
The three members are actually more than strong enough.
Cản không cho Xiaohu nó về.
Yo.
Tele ra.
Xiaohu's in a lot of trouble here.
Không
Konami,
chắc
if he
bỏ
hits
Baron.
the right
Không mày
one,
lấy
he's
tốt.
going for it. They are going to pull off in the end.
Yeah, Weibo, I think was hoping that they would, come forward, maybe try to force the fight so then they could try and wipe them and then turn onto the Baron.
Còn Tanabe thì còn, mà hồi nãy thằng Xiaohu nó bắt về được mấy tele ra là ăn nó, chứ đâu có sợ. Thằng Ani có ra nó cũng đâu có gấu nữa, sợ gì. Tại vì pha đó thằng Xiaohu nó cứ mất thời gian á, bắt về mất thời gian.
They are just so good at
Chiếu mạng 20.5.
or just finding the right way to fight. It feels like
Chiếu mạng
this is
20.5 của em
the first
đâu
time
phút
we've
mới
seen
cứng
them
chữ nào
in
vậy
the
trời.
playoffs. We're wondering what kind of prep is going to happen. I feel like a lot of times we see in
Đúng
the
là xỉu
playoffs,
25 còn hấp hối rồi,
those
xỉu
buys
20
can
gì nữa như nào.
in a way. But now we see JDG bearing
Không
their
ba.
teeth. In about 20 seconds, a dragon spawning would be a
Anh
second
em thấy
one
mẹ hai
for
thằng
them,
này nó tôn
or a
nhau,
soul
cứ
point
đánh
for
giá
Weibo.
này bây giờ nó cao, để hiểu cao cho nó. Đánh như cái lồn. Hay đấy. Anh nói thật, tầm thằng JDG này mà gặp tầm nhảy top 3 suy cây bây giờ là thua. Top 3 nó gặp thằng đi cây nó còn thua, kiểu ở đó.
The last time around,
Gặp
nobody
top 1,
died.
top
This
2.
time around, the Grim Reaper's just
Nếu có
waiting
tội.
on the side. There is no way we get out without any blood spilled here. Flandre going back into the pit using his tunnels. He does have the Void Rush available, everything available. Looking for Yagao's big flash TP, or at least flash Tipper's play, rather. Xiaohu looking for a big Weaver's Wall. Dragon resets there as the Dragon comes through. The Weaver's Wall separates it. At least they find ZDZ on the side. That's going to be a big equalizer over from Chris. Weibo are still trying to fight the Dragon here, but Ruler's going to pull the culling trigger. Flandre fighting over on a ZDZ. Dragon's getting low. Xiaohu's the one that gets it. That's so fun. You got play though with the Tippers. Knocked back into infinity. Flandre's on Xiaohu now as well. Weibo, they've got to find a way to give the fight. Konami going on the back.
Sao bên kia hết đam?
Can't do it. Light is able to
Sao bên kia hết
fight back.
đam?
And Crisp is burning them alive with his
Chạy,
namesake.
để chạy được nào chạy.
Gets a double. The rest is up to Weibo to make it out alive. We finally
được
had
cầm mà ngon rồi.
blood, and it's gonna be JDG favored.
I mean, Weibo taking advantage of the fact that so
Dạ nên
many
nha.
JDG get separated, but once again, JDG finding.
Đi.
Thì anh nói, Việt Nam, cái tài 25 còn thở oxy gì đâu. Tài 25 còn thở oxy nữa rồi. Còn xỉu 20.5.
Xỉu 20 ngất lịm.
Cân giùm em xỉu 20.5.
Đánh nhau kinh thật.
Đi là anh đéo biết khân kiểu gì luôn. Cho nên chắc giờ chúc em yên nghỉ rồi.
The opportunity opens itself, great culling by Ruler, and I love the fact that JDG just pounce on them here once they start to walk back in. It's all going to be started by the tidal wave, the seed, the smite going over towards Xiaohu, but again, Yagao going forward with the Tibbers. Chain
Thôi đừng có nói
with the bubble, but man, I have no idea how Light actually manages to...
Mà pha này tiền Lucian chí thằng kia là nó tí ra, cứ nó ở lại nó bắn rồi nát rồi đó.
He gets some serious damage on Konami when he connected the Sonic Wave onto him anyways. Yagao is going to be a pretty heavy damage dealer now as well, as he's been consistently finding some big CCs, big stuns. Ruler, obviously being able to pick up some gold here is very big as well. And that lead, although very small, is still there for JDG. The biggest thing though is Weibo can force the fight around the Dragon now in the next 3 minutes.
Mẹ, xúc vật à?
Oh no, they want to force
Người ta đã
now.
thua kéo rồi
It's all
còn
gonna miss. That's the flash out of Ruler though. That's big.
trả 5 lít đây Hùng ơi.
I mean, hell, that's all Weibo really cared about here, right? Forcing this fight, getting the flash out early, and knowing when that next dragon fight comes around that Ruler
Đã
is
thua
going
kèo
to
rồi còn
be
chiêu người
one of
ta.
the targets.
Giờ tiền vẫn ngang nhau nha.
I love it,
so
pushing
big,
for enemy blue. Yeah, so JDG I think now going to try and use the timing where these lanes pushed in to try to find a pick of their own.
Dude, Ruler just looking to chunk Crisp out there.
Money live
Yeah,
view còn hốt không à?
he would be dead.
Chắc là khó em ơi.
Navi is going to be looking on top side of the map again. This is JDG's strengths, looking
Chung là
for a
game này
single
cứ một con
target
bát.
and focusing them down.
Thằng nào lại thấy là nó
Just
win
need to
luôn.
hold the line.
không có vụ lật liễn gì hết.
And right, even though we said like Weibo are one
Pha
of the
này
best
phút
teams
26
playing around sides,
lỗi pha là đi.
one of the teams who really only lean on that style. I mean,
Cái
JDG
lỗi là
has
cút
some
không?
phenomenal play around the map.
Oh,
I like what they did there. Lean towards bot, towards mid.
They also have 3 items on Ruler now, so you know that helps. The Lord Dom's completed there. Not too shabby. Still with the paper bags on his shoes, but who needs that when you just have a bunch of guns?
Yeah, I mean, he has a ton of damage. Flandre even getting a tank here right now by finishing off that Kanik Rooker, and so not going to have as much to fear when you're facing 2 AP threats in the Rumble and the TIliwong.
I do like some of the item spikes.
5-5 thì chắc khó quét sạch.
I think
Chắc 3 đổi
in
5.
the end, getting the second item spike for Light was big, but I would really like to see the third come online.
Chia giấy này kiểu gì chả giết được mấy người.
Stand up with at least some of the incremental leads, I would say that JDG have. But we have about a minute and 25 seconds for a dragon.
Này
30
kg.
Clear out some vision so they
Cái
can
năm thằng này cũng
move
chưa
down.
em được.
Yeah, so you can tell they're already setting up for the fact that they know that they're the team with
Chỉ
options,
còn dòng
right?
4 nó vãi nhau mới căng này.
If they don't feel confident looking for the fight with JDG, you'd expect them to though, because Light's flash looks like it should be up by then, and we saw them make that play.
Đánh kiểu này là lòng 4 với Baron cùng lúc nha. Không biết thằng Weibo nó chọn cái gì luôn.
Feeling good enough to fight. And I gotta say, Mazel, this was supposed to be finals in my pre-split predictions. This was team 1 and team 2
It ain't
in my
gonna be no
pre-split predictions.
finals.
Again, was it a bit of a hipster prediction? Yes, but
Is hipster the one you want to use? Is that the word?
yeah, we're gonna go with hipster. But you know, for anyone out there, you know, again, this is the last round of, you know, before we go towards the WBG. Really being the match.
Lên căng vãi luôn.
A lot of times we say a series is on the edge of a cliff, you know, especially backs against the wall, kind of like 2-0 setups. But in this moment, it feels like you're on a literal cliff. One side, you will not be back till summer. The other side, you get a second life in the LPL playoffs, and we've seen it make a difference in history. Now, Weibo wanting to continue their run. Again, they've gone back-to-back silver scrapes. They are tired, but they are not out yet in JDG. They've woken up here for the first time as they are making their entrance into our spring playoffs. They've looked so mighty already in the first 2 games. They are just positioning to fight before this dragon.
Again, man, I love
Ruler.
small windows.
Ruler
They
cút.
have ruler. They have ruler. They
Giờ
got him out. Not
sao
like
cút
this.
Ruler đó bên em.
Nightmares are coming back
10 thằng
to
Ruler luôn.
haunt
Nó dòng 4
JDG.
luôn.
And now Weibo, they can
Đánh
limit
giá
this
Ruler.
dragon. They can look
Giá
for
hiệu
soul
đánh giá
here.
những riêng người ta.
They're running them down. They have numbers advantage.
Yagao! He gets the double play
ba
there.
người.
They have the crescent guard for Chao Hao. It's
Yeah,
actually
lần
separating
sau
so
không
much
ngáo
damage,
nữa.
but Kanavi finds Crisp anyways. Light trying to fight over, ends up cleaning out Yagao.
Lần sau không bao giờ được ngáo. Cấm nhá.
ZDC claims Kanavi's life. Missing here to help
Flandre.
Flandre. And who but the man in the top lane can make the difference? Who
Flandre.
Còn
but
thôi là trầu chứ.
Flandre, the world champion? And who but this man on Rek'Sai could deny Weibo's hopes and dreams as he tears him limb from limb? He's still fighting him down. And
Ui,
it's
tải
a
điên.
Anh Châu.
new clean house.
Không đánh giá
Châu ấy.
không đánh giá lừa cao, thế đánh giá Flandre cao đâu anh em.
Dạ. Nhưng mà con rồng vẫn chưa.
Địt mẹ mày Flandre kìa.
Má Châu nha.
There is a reason they first picked it
Vừa
blind
trội
on
vừa đam
blue
nữa chứ.
side. They felt like
Ôi, dòng
Flandre
này
had
chắc
the
chắn là bọn này ăn
authority
rồi.
to take that one out. Also,
Chấp
Dragon
ruler
went
luôn.
down. So we
Mà
still
còn
have the
ngửa
soul
thế này thì
Weibo
mẹ
could come
mày
back
có
to
ruler
it.
thì
Take a
bắt
look
được lòi lồn.
at on ruler. We've seen this somewhere before, Lyric.
Yeah, and they're trying to keep their good position.
Thôi 3-0, cặp này 3-0 đánh đeo rồi. Mẹ mày nhìn tưởng là không có đam nhưng mà lại rất nhiều đam nha. Ra gao nó tốc biến lên nó cho bãi cứt vào mặt địt mẹ. Ủa.
Giờ hơi tốc biến rồi đó.
Sau đéo ra ép ba giòn gì đây đang đánh nhau mà.
So actually turns back on Dragon to start putting spears into it. Flandre's just gonna realize that in a second, be like, hey,
Tải
what
vũ.
are you doing? Like, what are
You
you
hopped
doing?
one time too far.
And I mean, right, this took a while with both these guys
Điều
being
này kết quả thằng ấy xỉu 25-9 năm thì nó cười.
20. Sao lại có cái
29
kèo
năm.
đấy được nhở? Nó ấy mà sao lại
Tại
tân mà sao có cái kèo đấy được nhỉ?
Tại nó cái khoảng thời gian dài mà không thấy nó có bạn á. Không đi nổi nhìn kèo đấy.
Mà vấn đề là đang cân tiền đấy. Mẹ thì vào xỉu hơi mạo
So,
hiểm.
but look at Xiaohao's damage
Ao
though,
tiền nó vào
man.
xỉu
I
thôi.
know that was a lot into the tank, but my goodness, he was trying so hard. JDG are
Bây giờ
just better
tiền
in
cũng
that
nên cân.
opportunity.
Giờ để
And
biết ai
honestly,
ăn
Miguel having a lot to say
Đúng
on this Annie. I know I was question
Không
marking
em ạ.
it in the draft,
Đúng cái này để
but
biết nào
you
ăn luôn.
need to make plays
đâu
like
ăn này
that
cái
on
chắc
the
rồi.
Annie. That's what was kind of lacking in the history, and here in a big moment, he makes that double play. Flandre, though, he is tanky. He's gonna bait in Weibo.
He has another full item after that fight. Before that, he had 3 items. Now, I believe it was TRspod's was the last thing that was picked up. Full item ahead of ZDC.
Bảo
So
sao
now
nó cho Flandre đánh,
is the big
đéo
man
phải cho
on
thằng
campus.
Seer
You gotta be
đi
scared of
mà.
ZDZ not the tankiest
Kinh
guy
nghiệm đầy
on
mình.
the server. And, yeah, feels hard. We're just slight edges.
Có cấp
in all
mà.
these team fights that
Cái
have
cấp
been
nói gì cũng đúng.
pushing
Vô địch
JDG
phải
forward.
khác chứ.
And now trying to threaten for this mid lane turret before maybe peeling off the fourth Baron, because of course ZDZ is pushing down in the
Tài
bot
của
lane.
thằng hùng lợn
Nó
búa
cũng
rồi.
xanh.
It's also a fourth item for
Nó cũng xanh mình biết rồi.
That
tham
side
hùng
lane
lợn
pressure
búa rồi.
will be good for Weibo, but the Baron
Giết
is
con
up.
Rek'Sai,
They
giết
have
vào
item
lồn.
spikes, they
Phải
have
lồn,
fight
thằng kia nó
potential.
còn đang còn
They
lên.
cannot
Ui
get
ăn
the
Bazon
damage
nhanh chưa?
build, and they're just gonna burn this purple worm down.
Thằng kia nó còn lên thì có khăn giải thuật nữa.
5.400 máu. Phải ra đánh nhau mà.
Run at them if you will. Will it crack
Wow.
their skull?
Gì đấy?
Will it be as hard as iron? Xiaohu's skull is already looking a little cracked.
Lồn Xiao
As
gần
Ruler
chết rồi.
still in there. They're gonna force this Baron flip. Xiaohao's right on the edge. Win becomes
Dạ,
right.
chụp phạt trước.
Xiaohao, he's in the pin. It's
Rồi,
a 50-50, but guess who gets it? It's the
Lại rồi.
engine that runs JDG.
Anh
It's
phải đấu
Kenobi,
ác
and
rồi.
they onto the back line.
Yes.
Nice double kick there is huge as he's gonna find
Yes.
fight two. Here's running him down on the other
Yes.
side. Xiaohao, he's onto the back line, but he can't do
Yes.
it. He can't stick it. Ruler on the other side.
Kèo
And Ruler
của em.
outplays him. A double
Kèo
kill, and
của em
everyone
Duy
is
chính thức
still
cút.
there for JDG.
Âm
Flandre, the
6.5
willing
tuổi.
sacrifice for a JDG 2-0.
5.5 mà.
We just have to assume that JDG have been
Đánh
cặp 5.5 mà.
cao
their
chúng
back
tôi.
pocket as a secret weapon for
Cút.
playoffs. My man is huge in JDG again. What superb fighting in
Ao
this
trình.
game.
In game one, they took a little bit of Weibo's medicine and threw it right back to them. In game two,
Yeah.
they introduced them to a whole nother
Flandre
level
nó
of
ỉa lên
hell
đầu.
as they have reared their heads and they are looking to sweep
3-0 thôi anh em đánh
Weibo.
cái gì nữa.
2-0 up are the Titans in JDG.
Vừa nãy quả âm 2.5
I gotta
địt
say,
cô mẹ rết hẳn 2.5 luôn.
Different than it was
Cú đẫm
before,
luôn.
but JDG headed to you know one of the newer rivalries.
Lúc nãy
in
còn
LPL,
địt
right?
âm
Back
1.5
to
địt
top
mẹ mày.
esports,
X
JDG.
1.98 cơ,
Wanted
vãi
to
lùn
make their way
cả
there.
cái.
On the topic of this game, though, man, I'm sad. Chris finally hit a good ultimate. It took the whole game to do it, and then it didn't even matter in the end.
Didn't matter in the end, and we got to see Weibo turn it around. They've been the ones putting teams
năm
in
đồ
this
của em Quốc
position
Vinh.
in both other series. They had gone so strongly up 2-0 in both
Quốc Vinh
other best of
5
fives.
đô.
And in
Bây
one
giờ
that
năm
is a
đô.
do or die, you don't want
Thằng
to
này
be
người
in
nước
that
ngoài đốn
position.
đến 5 đô em.
Now they have to find a way to reverse sweep a JDG who is up and roiling. We're going to go off to a break.
Tiền đô
We'll
bây
be
giờ
back
mẹ
with
tỷ
game
giá hơi
number
bị
3.
cao đấy. Đối với tiền đô là lạ lãi đấy.
Là tính tái rồi.
Ừ. Map 3 liệu có Weibo có gỡ được tí không? Hay là lại ngửa luôn?
Chưa biết. Còn sợ rồi.
Đi ăn cái đã, tí về tí tiếp.
CB tớ bảo chị số.
says missing as he introed the season, or at least the series itself, with that look. It's looking like he is coming for the heads of Weibo. With JDG as a whole, 2-0 up, dominating Weibo. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Lyric, and they are one game away from having a Guardian Angel and sending Weibo off into the summer split.
Exactly, right. Great game, too. We're going to pull up our MVP in just a second, but we got to assume we know who the MVP is, right? Like, after the performance that Flandre put up, like, my God, I hope someone goes back and, like, makes a really cringe monster truck edit of when he was going around that team fight, you know, just, oh, he goes there, and the big explosion here, and it was massive. Great to see Flandre come back in and not only not lose a step, but honestly, probably being the best performance of the split for him.
I appreciate the energy that Flandre has brought to the Rift here. Not one to shy away from some tussles against CDZ and finding so many big engages on the Rek'Sai. It was incredible to watch, and he just presented such a backline threat every time.
Yeah, and again, even moments like that where JJ are kind of just slowly moving forward, it looks like the fight's already been disengaged, but he just sees the perfect opportunity to flash and get a multi-man knockup and really bring JDG across the finish line. And we were wondering, it's like, hey, is the Rek'Sai valuable enough to first pick? Weibo don't even really care about the Rek'Sai themselves. Like, why are we doing this? And it's like, oh, this is why we're doing this. The man showed up.
There's, I'd say the resounding yes in all caps with a bunch of exclamation marks. If Rek'Sai gets through again, that is not looking great for Weibo. But I think that's where we have to talk about Weibo and their run so far. Obviously, already having gone the distance in 2 of their previous series. They are one step away from that GA, but it's a difficult task to say the least, right? They are very strong at winning in side lanes. They are very strong, or at least in their realm, at those 25 to 30 minute marks. But against JDG, you cannot beat this team in late game, and they are taking the presence and pressure to you early game now.
And JDG have already shown, right, game 1, they're not going to let you play side lanes. That they're banning that out. They're investing resources in top to play against the TF. This game, we see Weibo kind of pivot to wanting to play more of this 5v5 style, rely on things like the Talia, the Rumble, having a true front line in the Cassante. But again, I really don't feel like Weibo's team fighting looks all that hot. I was complaining all broadcast about the Rumble ultimate, so we'll see what Weibo pivot to now. I wonder if we get them going even further in the direction of some comfort. Again, maybe this is when they start going, oh my God, what do? We couldn't side lane. We couldn't go for this like early pressure one-item power spike. Do they now lean on this area? Do they now lean on some scaling aspects and try and put more eggs in the light basket?
You said it best coming into this third game of the series, but it's either a sweep or it's a reverse sweep. And I think the fact that we have that duality with this one is insane. On paper, you'd expect JDG 3-0 sweep, but Weibo have shown that they have a lot of grit and are able to drag series out a little bit, but finish strongly in their game number 5. So we'll see what they can present here on this game number 3, a fateful one. The LPL playoffs are a gauntlet, and Weibo are in the midst of one of the toughest parts of it.
Yeah, and I mean the one sitting across from them, JDG again. People can argue about who was 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever. Everyone had the same top 3 of the split. I mean, it was BLG, TS, and JDG Gaming. JDG really showing up, and again wanting to get to that next round. Not only W, not only MSI, but again that long time rivalry with TS. Even if the rosters are slightly different, still parts of both that have been around since the beginning. Now with Yigao back on the roster, him and Kanavi going all the way back to 2020, right? People like Jackula on the opposite side. Hell, 369 going back. So a similar story to Yigao. So that one is going to be an incredibly fun one. It is the day after tomorrow, so not a whole lot of turnaround time. But JDG not really needing to show all that much, not really changing that much from what they were doing differently in the split. Hell, even Weibo, again, reading the same thing. We're banning out combos. We know that like these are the things you play around. These are the champions you like. And it's not deterring JDG whatsoever.
Yeah, I think something that has worked for Weibo in the past in this playoffs has been ZDZ's strengths in the top side of the map, maybe giving him the rumble, finding a little bit more comfort that way, getting Xiaohu, again, still something that can roam out of mid lane, but more importantly, holding it on the bot side a little bit. don't want to see the Kalista anymore. Want to see a sustained late game carry for Light, but also want to see some engage potential for Crisp this time around.
Yeah, and maybe it's just, you know, that's the level of respect they have for Ruler missing in the 2v2, which makes sense. Like, especially, you know, a lot of criticism has come from this 2v2, even last year when JDG were botting everyone, right? But in terms of laning, they've always been strong, always been able to find the 2v2s, always up in CS. So maybe it's Light and Chris reading, hey, we can't draft a weak bot lane early. We can't let them have an advantage and just be able to take over from minute one.
We got Weibo on the blue side. No counter pick for ZDZ. JDG on that red side. First pickup of the Varus. If that's going to be the lethal hit Varus, I love to see it for Light.
Yeah, so same bands as Game 1, but again, changing up the picks. In Game 1, it was the first pick of the Twisted Fate. This time it is the Varus. So I wonder if JDG would still like to go back to something they've done earlier, like the Jax. You know, of course, that can be a flex pick. I like that they're picking up the Rakan early. Of course, also sits up if they want to go for the Xayah or, the Zeri would be a nice shout. Something else Ruler plays incredibly well.
That, and also Missing had that like ridiculous win streak. I think he still is on the win streak on Rakan. I'm not super sure. Maybe somebody can at me on Twitter about it, but I remember in the regular season he was on like a ridiculous Rakan win streak every time he picks the champion. So they are going to get a tried and true duo down there. It is going to be the Talia for Xiaohu yet again. So trying to get some of that side lane pressure.
Yeah, so gonna be more potential for aggression down on bot lane, but also more potential for supports to roam. Considering they are both engaged champions. Now the TF is gonna come out for JDG. I would assume this is actually going into top, but of course it is a flex pick, right? They can decide what they want to do after Weibo do pick up their top lane, but Flandre has been the much bigger TF player out of him and Yigao.
No way that JDG are just gonna take a full-on Weibo comp and beat them in a third game, right? Like that's no way they're that mean, right?
Oh, they definitely are. Again, JDG's comp can still turn into something that can do really well in team fights, right?
Bây giờ ba không ao trình.
You get something a bit tankier,
Rồi tiếp đến bây giờ cộng này.
in the jungle, you know, I was gonna say Zig now, but obviously him just being taken off the board. Things along that lines. And then very easy to round it out with some high damage in the mid lane. So JDG would not only have pressure inside if they went TF top, but then being taken off the board. Things along that lines. And then very easy to round it out with some high damage in the mid lane. So JDG would not only have pressure inside if they went TF top, but then also have a really strong team fighting core that TF can enable with the Destiny.
I like the Zindao focus from Weibo. I would expect more of the Kanavi focus, maybe even the Lee Sin being banned away here. There it is. It is going to be targeting Kanavi in this second phase for Weibo at least. Now, JDG again will have their counter pick available. They still have the potential to utilize that for top lane if we want to get some of that flexibility for the TF. We'll see where their desires lie at least.
So, yeah, this would set them up to play more of a pick-oriented comp. Again, still can function in 5v5s depending on how they round it out and what Weibo pick, but no. So they go away from that, yes, going straight towards the cage. I mean, hell, this is something Yigao has played in the past. So we're going to see how he's able to do with it here. It's going to be a huge disruption to immobile champions like Varus and Leah with that cage.
You don't need to look to move around. You're just going to pressure mid lane and farm up as best you can, and that kind of sets Weibo's sights on that mid lane a little bit more, and maybe not able to play as much around as what they want to do.
Nằm ở tổng 4.5 luôn đây.
Like this read from JDG. It's also something they highlighted earlier, at least
thông tin là nó ngửa một cách phiến diện như vậy. Nhồi cái nữa đi. Tự tin vào suy nghĩ của mình đúng không?
Yeah, it seems like they're being very conscious about the pressure that Flandre will.
Tới bây giờ cộng anh em. Tới bây giờ cộng 4.5. Cứ tự tin vào suy nghĩ của mình.
You think he should be because again he is a big TF player himself, so should not.
Kèo gì game duy hả?
But now with the Nocturne, it's going to make it so much easier to try to farm Flandre from that top side. Hell, I remember the first time Flandre pulled up the TF earlier in the split. I can't remember who was against, but he just ended up getting camped all game long. And it looks like Weibo hoping to pull off a similar strategy. And with the Wukong
cái này phải thôi sẽ đừng có nhồi nữa.
Coming out from their four-man core, but
thầy vẫn sẽ nhồi đi.
having the potential side lane pressure really on from the TF.
Trong đầu thầy thì thầy vẫn không tin là 3-0 mà.
And also Kanavi on Wukong is just lethal, man. He finds so many ways to kind of path uniquely around using the clone as well. And I'm
Bước
very
đường cùng
curious
rồi,
at
bung
how
bài đi.
this team fight setup for JDG is going to
Bước
look.
đường cùng bung bài là
They
được.
do have, I feel like, a bar of execution to reach, but so do Weibo on their side. Xiaohao is going to have a really kind of weird role in this.
Cứ bây giờ cộng nha anh em thấy cộng cái nào hợp lý thì cộng. Ví dụ ăn cắp thì cộng 5.5. Thầy cảm thấy là thầy nằm con mẹ nó 4.5.
But once you get late, it's like, all right, you're kind of jumping in alone, and no one should be able to follow you when, again, the cage is getting thrown out mid. You have Cyclone coming at you, like all these huge AoE zoning abilities that are going to make it hard for anyone to be able to follow a Nocturne in.
It's so difficult, but it is an important one for Weibo. They finally get the Nautilus, something that's been banned away against them consistently. They finally have some cohesion to facilitate for their carries, but it might have come a little too late. They have gone the distance in both of their series so far. They have staved off the darkness. They have gone to 5 games and risen triumphantly in those 5th games, but this is the first time they find themselves backs against the wall going into a game 3. A Weibo who has retooled since we just saw them in the World Finals, and now their only hope is a reverse sweep. JDG are looking dominant. They want to close out here. Those Gyos need to give energy to Weibo. Let's hear them one more time. Yo, thank you for backing me up, crowd. My God, those Weibo Gyos were insane.
And wouldn't it be so poetic if Weibo were able to find a win here? Because then it's like, hey, like you've done the reverse. You've been in the position to be reverse swept, but you haven't, been in a position like this, which mentally is going to be so different. But still, man, that is a far cry from being able to happen, which is how much better than Weibo JDG have looked in the first 2 games. I don't think it's really going to get easier here with how the drafts panned out. But a lot going to be on Xiaohu and Xiaohao coming into this one, right? Because maybe wanting to just outright avoid the fights altogether.
Nếu người lết đấy nha, nếu tính lết á, thì bên TD win. Còn nếu đánh mid game thì bên phía Weibo win. Lết thì lại đéo đội hình nào ăn lại JDG. Đéo có cửa nào ăn lại luôn. Đó là lời hứa luôn. Đội hình Super Sunday luôn.
Is going to be important again. The Varus has been providing so much of that versatility, not only the on-hit damage he can provide, but the Chains of Corruption is so big for helping set up from long distance, and that's going to be super important for Weibo, because not only are they going to have to have really succinct CC chains, they're going to have to find a way to utilize the paranoia from Xiaohao once he gets to level 6.
I think for Weibo, I mean, the plan is going to be very obviously go top. Like, once you hit 6, go top, take out the TF. So
Thì trên ở đường trên thì với cái vua chắc rồi, cái tay già. Thank Kanavi. Làm ai ạ? Thầy vẫn làm Weibo anh. Thầy vẫn đéo tin là thằng JDG nó hủy diệt 3-0 mà. Đã đéo tin là đéo tin, sợ cái đéo. Rồi đặt cái dòng này.
They both have the same ideas.
The prep, man.
They both really do have the same ideas.
You know that mid lane is super important. The cage comes down. Xiaohu says, no, you're locked in here with me. Throws the rocks down. Weibo and JDG striking in mid lane, but nothing else.
Again, that one ward that Xiao just put, getting so much value by spotting Kanavi and then being able to read the play into mid. So it's going to be nice. Now both junglers just going to default back down towards their bot side. Is Chris not going to be able to find that hook.
Nice little combo into Yigao in mid lane here as well. Oh my god. He's gonna have to TP back after that one. Gonna miss a couple of the minions too, but JDG having some presence from Flandre on the ZDZ side of the matchup.
Thầy vô bao nhiêu tiền? Thầy vô chắc chắn là hơn tụi em. Thầy có bây giờ vô ít trên. Thách thức của thầy mã thì cũng hơn 3-4 mà.
Kanavi has had Xiaohao's number,
Thấp nhất từ xưa đến giờ mà đánh kiểu liên minh thấp nhất là 3-4 triệu.
And this is the first time it feels like Xiaohao is the one that's, you know, kind of
nhiều nhất thì hình như là 60 80 củ rồi, nhiều nhất là 80
Yeah,
củ.
we're gonna see now. Again, I think a lot more comes down to like how the team is playing for these junglers. And for Weibo,
Có mấy hôm vô mỏng, có mấy hôm thầy không chơi á.
right? Because having Danny come in, Weibo seemed like way too afraid to like take certain timings when they have pryos to look for invades, or again around team fights, than your classic LPL team looks. Especially these guys. I mean, hell, think back to how AL played with Xiaohao and ZDZ. Think back to how aggressive people like Xiaohu and Crisp have been in the past. So, I wonder how much of a byproduct this Weibo style is of Danny coming into the team. Probably a lot.
Probably a lot. We're also finally getting a...
Đang chơi kèo gì anh em? Đang chơi kèo Weibo cộng. Thầy sẽ đi cộng 4.5. Anh em đi an toàn, đi 5.5. Ui trời ơi, cái V2 nó mà trúng thì ngon rồi. Đi à.
Yeah, you can see them trying to punish that now on the mini map actually.
ZDZ doesn't hit the flash Q sweet spot. It feels a little bad. Oh, he might get punished pretty heavily for that one. Flandre, he's going for it. He doesn't get it. Steal, but it doesn't matter.
Xui hẳn ZDG pha đó mà.
Flandre getting a solo, but he gives it right back.
Nó V2 trúng
rồi.
rồi.
One for one with the fact that
jumpers
are behind them.
Có đầu đánh nội tại Onin được nữa. Còn kéo à.
Ruler going to take a lot of damage there from the PS.
Ui trời ơi,
going to look to lock him down. It's going to be coming to cleanse immediately. Ruler able to play
6.5 cộng gì đó được đấy. Hồi nãy thầy bảo là thầy vô cộng 4.5 ăn 2 rách 2 chấm mấy à. Tại thầy đéo tin là thằng JDG có thể hủy diệt được. Nên là
And we're seeing why Nautilus is taken away from Chris because he's able to find the angles.
I'm very surprised the turret did not attack him right there. That's hilarious. Crisp able to weave that last anchor in between the minion wave that here too.
Game này phải có game 4.
Going to be left wanting there and no summoner spells for a while down there as well as the cleanse. So it's going to be very difficult to navigate for them.
Yeah, huge for that kill, especially in a
Nothing in level 5.
Him be a big presence that needs to be feared. But we come back up to top side and now without the flash, it's a lot harder for Flandre. He has to wait for ZDZ to look for that all in there and then kind of tether him and get as much damage on the exit.
Xiaohao doesn't have ulti.
Yagao's here too.
Nó level 5.
Yagao
biết được.
Able to roam up. Does not know that he's
Ôi thằng Canavi ở trên luôn.
Really wishing he had
biết được.
right now. Pushing front. Pretty big wave. Doesn't feel like there's much of a play here, but they're going to look to force it anyways. They know Flandre doesn't have any summoner spells here. It could be a big play to get ZDZ ahead. There's that Destiny pop. Here comes Xiaohu. Classic RNG play being made, but Flandre uses his Destiny to safety.
And we're 4 members towards topside right now. I mean, look.
We bring in more.
Crisp is here, so both teams up towards the side. JDG look like they want to try and find a fight, but
nó đang kéo rầy lên. Em thấy bên JDG thì lại úp thơm hơn vậy thì đúng rồi. Nếu bên JDG nó thơm hơn thì về lay. Kiểu tầm khoảng phút 30 đổ lên thì JDG nó mạnh lắm. Nhưng mà tầm khoảng phút thứ 15 cho tới phút thứ 27 28 thì Weibo nó mạnh. Còn lay thì làm sao mà đánh lại JDG được. Thầy chỉ tính giai đoạn mid game thôi. Lay được hình JDG 4 nào đỡ được luôn. Không nào đỡ được. Trừ khi ai cấp nó xuất thần nữa thì nó nguyên nổi. Chứ còn lại nó hốt.
His ADC hooked to death.
I remember you guys had that the other day.
We did.
I can't remember who it was, but it was a flash arrow.
It was Hung.
It was Hung.
Yeah, it was Hung.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I do think Scout did want to eat that Ash Arrow the other day. This one I'm not sure. Well,
I'm
not sure.
I don't think you want back.
I know Ruler doesn't want that hook.
Yeah, 100%. He didn't want that right hook at all. It is going to be Weibo using some of their strength from bot side, some of the presence that Crisp has had on the Nautilus to take their first dragon. They also got all 3 grubs on the other side of the map before those plays kicked off on top side, so they're looking good on objectives. That's a far cry from the first 2 games.
Còn chỉ bên tận thế đủ không? Không dùng. Dùng cũng chết.
I don't think he does, but they're going to know now. Kanavi's going to show his face, Cyclone to the face, and ZDZ will just go down. JDG pick up their second kill of the game.
Yep, nice return by Kanavi, and I'll say
cái này là cả bot mà.
This either has to be a 3-0 or a 5-game series. We are not having any 3-1s here today.
Cái này gỡ là support
You
này.
know, it either needs to be one-sided or go the distance. That's what Weibo are looking for.
Để lộ Canavi trên top lại trả đít em.
He does end up finding it anyways because Missing is not level 6 yet, and Light claims it. 2-0 for Light, finally on a sustained damage carry, and this is the style that we wanted to see from Weibo. Give some gold to this guy who's a beautiful carry for your team.
Yeah, so gold getting funneled on Light, Weibo to where for JDG it's Flandre, right? Even though he doesn't have a ton of kills, we can see the plays he's gotten, and especially 30 CS lead. So it's going to be very different games. For JDG, it's going to be about buying time for the rest of their map to catch up with the pressure that Flandre can put on. And for Weibo, it actually might be a little bit about a...
9-3. Vãi liền, F5 lại đi thầy Linh. Trễ. Đây 9-5-6.
Going to be stopped there in the end by trying to go through the worst ground in the end. He's fine. He knew that was going to happen.
He even giggled himself, so, you know, maybe he even
still
expected...
got the smile on his face, man.
Maybe he even expected to go down there, but yeah, it seems like without Paranoia, just not enough potential threat to look for those grubs, so... JDG going to get even more of a reprieve by being able to pick these ones up, which is especially going to enable Flandre having a bit more damage under his belt, but we know the might's not possible for either side.
Team của Hùng Maro sáng trang mà. Team bao nhiêu mà sáng?
Bot side where I'm sure Weibo will continue
bao nhiêu?
resources down into. They are going to actually catch out Missing here.
24.5 thì phải có con bắt đầu.
Not going to follow up Crispin Gate, but they will just continue pressure down here. They
Còn kiểu nó mắc lẻ mà nó ăn rộng mà.
Try to find some kills for Light. They will give him some more resources.
Nghĩ là nếu như nó giao căng nó thì ngon. Còn nếu như
maybe stayed a little bit too long. Crisp,
Còn nếu như
this has been a beautiful treasure that Weibo have held to themselves and a strength that they have used in their past.
It's been one of those things of when Chris
giờ thằng Weibo nó thích đánh nhau
này.
Bao nhiêu đánh nhau nó cũng có.
Again, early in the lane, really having a good performance in Nautilus and just enabling him to hold hands with Xiaohao, make their way around the map, that time, hovering, making sure no shenanigans on the mid lane for Xiaohao. Recall. And we're back to a state of normalcy. No huge gold lead one way or the other. Like we said, Light kind of being up in gold compared to Ruler with those kills, but still a massive CS lead in top and plate lead too for Flandre.
And I also want to bring in the conversation about Yagao. He's on the Vigar, a pick that scales into infinity. And that has to be a setup conversation for not only the spacing that he provides, but some of that insurance policy. Because when it gets to a team fight potential, it is scary.
Yeah, they're going to really need to rely on an advantage. Or Xiaohu and Xiao finding just the perfect angle to get on the back line and delete someone together. But again, that should be hard against the tools that JDG has available to them.
Also, this is the kind of combo we want to see from Weibo, and they catch out Kanavi. That's big. As Xiao claims that one, now Yagao taking some rocks to the face. Chris might find Missing. He does take the engagement over here.
Giữa game tụi nó mạnh vãi liền. Trước game thì tụi thằng Weibo mạnh lắm.
Is getting matched again, just teams trading where
đánh thằng Weibo lỗ.
Light now gonna have to go.
Thằng JDG thì tầm phút 30 cái bây giờ nó cực kỳ mạnh luôn. Lúc đó không biết Weibo đánh kiểu gì.
So that's the next big place we really have to look. JDG will have Prio here first because, like we saw, their bot lane went for a reset first, so they should be able to start looking for vision down here. But the question is if they bring Kanavi over, or if they just say, hey, we're not even going to look to contest drag, and we're just going to enable Flandre even more on this top side.
There are options for them. I think that's one of the deadlier things about JDG is when they have a lot of options, they always pick the right one, seemingly. Flandre maybe didn't pick the right option.
Oh, no, yes, he did.
Yes,
that sidestepping was clean.
Did. Oh, my God. I won't doubt you again, Flandre. I'm sorry I wasn't familiar with your game, brother, as we see Dragon already started up by Weibo.
The best part is he did that without Ghost, because he used Ghost earlier when Kanavi got engaged on. So that was just, yeah, just
there for ZDZ. JDG are positioning around this one to try to contest.
Andre's making his way over. He's walking down.
Oh, Kanavi's already going on to Xiaohu. There is the cage drop, though. Depth charge going to be used, and Missing's already out of the fight. Now Ruler is going to have to hop his way out. That Ultra Shock laser on the back line. ZDZ is there, but Xiaohu on the other side has already fallen. ZDZ trying to take down Ruler. Flash coming out of the Zeri. Dragon secured by JDG. Now ZDZ is going to roll into his way to a
Mày
death.
đi.
And Weibo,
Cái xin đi
they've
nè,
got to
nghe
find
máu
an
của
exit
Phi không còn
strategy.
nhiều.
It's feeling a little bit like this series holistically. They just
Nghe
can't
còn béo.
find a way out. And as darkness settles in,
Thật ra
it's
là-
all JDG.
JDG with the huge mind games.
Xong rồi đấy,
letting
trận này
Weibo
xong rồi đấy.
think they had their number in the regular
xong rồi đấy.
season for the biggest gotcha
Đánh gì
nữa?
so far in playoffs. Great
Nó đặt cái lòng.
fighting coming out from
Hả?
JDG.
Đánh gì nữa?
And I'm curious about this replay. Did everything just get used on the Rakan?
Thằng lỗ missing thì
Yeah,
lại không một tác dụng.
Yep.
Everything being used on
Vậy
the
bao giờ
Rakan.
chết luôn.
So, once the other members come in, like, what can you really
Weibo
do?
Jin Đông nó toàn chấp 4v5 mà đéo ăn nổi. Địt mẹ gì 5 năm đánh cái gì?
JDG just did such a better job at staying as a cohesive unit. Again, the
Xiaohu đứng góc 6.
cooldown usage there, not great from Weibo.
Ui, nó xoay
It
kìa.
just feels
Xoay
really
kìa.
rough because it was a little bit of miscommunication. It felt like on what side of the fight they were
Yes.
fighting on. Xiaohu being in the pit was a little bit rough.
2.5 thôi 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 thôi.
We said it at the very beginning.
10.5 đi.
We've seen Weibo mess up in their series, both prior, and that is why we've gotten 5 games.
10.5
You
còn đi chứ
cannot
cộng
mess
2.5.
up against JDG. They will tear you to shreds.
ZDZ không một tác dụng.
IG looked incredibly vulnerable. They only had beaten one other playoff team.
À, đây chị đấy đây.
LNG also were
À,
incredibly
chốc
sloppy
bật rồi
throughout the
chạy.
season, you know, heavily criticized, especially earlier on for their
Ai phải lột áo 4k
There's
tiền.
a lot to exploit there.
Đi
for those
top áo
teams.
50
À, hay
lính.
là vợ.
Sure, there have been some flaws, and like they don't always have the cleanest wins. But again, I feel like it's a fool's errand to like not consider JDG a top team.
And they're
Gì đấy,
playing
gì
in
đấy?
the side lane. Like, Flandre is side laning in
Đánh là chắc
ZDZ.
phải chạy.
A tried and true nature of Weibo. Now they're going to try to collapse on Ruler. And
Ruler đi.
So do find one. That will
Tài
be a
cứu
nice
điên.
reprieve for them. Gal, of course, not having TP to be able to come
Ruler
down.
không
and
đi
join
nữa mới
the
lại.
action.
So,
Cứ đi.
oh, he missed the flash,
Lại
but
cũng
it's
đi
still
nốt.
gonna
Giờ ra đi
launch
đó.
out anyways. Paranoia is there. They find Flandre on the back line though, but that fear is not going to be enough.
Xì
Xiao
ào
doing
chào.
some work, though. Finally, they
Đi
realized
hết.
that's what they need to target. A double kill for
Không nghe.
Mystic of all people.
Đi
And
hết.
Rồng
Flandre
gió.
soloing down Xiaohu. Here comes Yagao. You locked
Cái đấy
in
này.
here with JDG.
Bật ra.
ZDZ
Ra vào nhau.
has to force his flash
Ôi,
out.
Này chắc rồi ta.
And that is another
chắc
dominant
rồi ta.
victory in a team fight from JDG.
And we
Cái
stayed
tiếng ở
deep
tóc luôn.
in gold for so long, but now 2 back-to-back fight wins for JDG. We're up to a 4K gold lead. It is looking beautiful again. Bringing Flandre in, he was
Chạy
playing
đi
things
xét
like
đi
the
xét.
snap. He's someone who can
Xem
try and
chậm à
counteract the
thầy.
style that Weibo plays,
Chậm.
and I love it. I love bringing him in. I love
Tầm này
what
nhanh
JDG
chậm
doing
cũng
this
thế.
season. Missing did miss, but it just fits the name, right? Then they go in, and I love
Rồi,
what you
nó
pointed
xoáy
out.
kìa.
It starts off great, but they realized partway
Thằng lỗ
through,
missing
wait,
đánh ngu
we
thật.
need to realign our
Hất
focus,
tung toàn trượt.
turn onto the one dealing all the damage, and that's what they do. The target selection
Nó bị thằng Rigby dưới chân nè.
deals with him on his own, and it's enough for the others to keep running forward to be able to finish this one off. ZZ hoping to be a saving grace, but then the cage prevents him from being able to get out easily, so he has to use a flash too.
And I'll just say right now, it feels like the air has been sucked out of the Weibo side. Feels like there's not many things going right for them in this series so far, and maybe that gas tank is running out of gas right now. Multiple series going the distance in just a few days, and they haven't been able to turn it into wins here against JDG.
You know what? At
Biết
least
game
they
mạnh
can
mà
know
còn đánh
in
thua
an
nữa
alternate
thì
universe that I decide everything on, they were
no hốt
first.
rồi.
That's what they can know.
You hear that, Weibo?
Tại vì đi
You've
mẹ
always
mới nó
gone
ao trình
through
em.
They're still
Tuyển thủ
going
nào
to be
trình
looking at
thì
those
chị nghĩ
second item
sao?
spikes. They also have the Rift Herald available for
Kỹ
Xiao
năng
Hao
thua
to
thì
take
phải
down one of these
đi
turrets.
mẹ đánh
They
kiểu gì?
still have not been able to crack an outer just yet. They've already lost 2 of them
Farm
so
cái củ
far.
lồn
There's
thì
another
mẹ
dragon
ao
coming up in
53
about
lính nữa,
30
kinh
seconds,
thật.
so they can utilize some of that time
Tao 17 lính.
that JDG
đánh
will
cái
be
gì?
taking to take that one to get something on the map.
And it looks like that's the plan, right? You can see on the minimap how shadowing ZDZ right now on top side, so they're hoping to find a paranoia play here. I'm actually just going to give the Herald. So we'll see what they pivot this into, because other members of Weibo are starting to make their way up, like Crisp.
Nobody's gonna drive? Maybe? No driving.
You know what? There have been too many car accidents in Summoner's Rift. I can understand it. I wouldn't drive either.
Well, JDG are driving straight into the tier 2 tower down here, and they're just going to take that one easy. Xiaohao is here onto Yagao. Missing's there. Oh my god, Weibo just needs something. You can feel the desperation here. Yagao is the full focus. They are going to take him out. That is a decent amount of gold going over to Xiaohao. He might actually grab Missing as well.
Ooh, it does end up going down. Missing tries to live by an honor code. Is Andre might die here. Oh, he's dead here.
Taking the turn shots, light my baby boy. Look at him go.
Are we not stopping? Now Kanavi.
Now
Xiaohao.
He's speedy guy. Luckily, there's a person that throws rocks right there.
Giờ màn này đi.
With a very similar ID right next to
Dạ
you.
rồi. Đây boss solo kill luôn. Ok chưa?
But that is also something interesting for Weibo, and while they find themselves at a bit of a deficit, it's still pretty interesting. No, it is still something where they are in a potential final game for their spring split. But Xiaohu is known as the Tiger King of Spring, right? This guy always shows up, it feels like, and even on
the
this roster,
he's
able to facilitate a lot for the rest of his team move out of mid lane. I'm still looking at this guy for some huge setups. That was only just last series. They ended the series off the back of one of his Weaver's walls. If anybody's going to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, it's got to be him.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely can't count them out, right? I mean, like you said, Xiaohu has the clutch ability to play overall, have shown the ability to come back. Funnily enough, this is actually number 1 versus number 2.
Đâu có chậm đâu, tại nãy thầy Dunkest chậm quá.
Both these teams are incredibly good at finding those ways back into the game. But it does just look so hard. I will say they minimized the gold lead. At one point, we were up to 4K for JDG, now sitting at, around 2.5. So some of those picks have paid off. But JDG, they're not stopped looking for picks for themselves.
This is Shirelia's second item for you, Gal. Love that for him.
Yeah.
Ooh, Xiaohao gets it.
Yeah, Xiao able to get away, but I love it. Putting maximum value on just being able to enable his team to run Weibo down. Also, relatively cheap item. Gonna set him up for a bit of an earlier power if a fight does break out right now.
And we're in another situation where when JDG have control of the map, they will just choke you out. They're giving their best, Darth Vader impression every time they step on the rift. If they have an advantage here, they do have an advantage. It's not as much you can see they're pushing up their vision. They're utilizing a lot of the push and pull the waves that
cho nên là nó bị chết bởi thằng Yagao của bên Canavi.
Yeah, and you could tell right now they
nó đứng lỗi nên nó chết.
This is where Weibo might start coming online.
Chứ nào mà nó còn sống thì nó gây đam thì tao thua rồi.
Again, things like Varus and Flea maybe outpacing the
hơi khó đoán nhỉ.
Mai Đà Lạt cầu vàng nếu như thầy đăng ra kèo nào đi ngược thôi.
But they're ignoring the sides now because they see Aatrox spawn. They know if they found something, this would be a 5v4.
Quy luật nó thế.
TP is available, but it takes time. Destiny a lot faster. Will end up being popped there without any utilization. JDG were just looking to see if they could catch anybody out. And that's the power of this JDG roster. They can make you mess up, or they can just stay back and let themselves scale. Weibo moving forward. The Baron,
Weibo have
they
a blue
feel
trinket,
like,
though.
yeah, they feel like. No, they feel like they might be doing it. So they'll move up. Meanwhile, ZDZ able to get something in the side lane, getting a second turret for Weibo.
How interesting to bluff baiting Baron and give the other team 3 side pressure, so they at least end up stealing away the blue, which feels pretty nice.
Thằng này anh em cứ cầu mong thằng rớt nó được bắn. Nó được bắn thì ok.
Like that, maybe you actually would attempt actively baiting the Baron instead of just bluffing it and hoping they walk in. But still, not really significant loss. We do see Light though, able to finish up his Terminus, so he's getting even more to a point of power, being on his 3rd item, to where Ruler just sitting on 2.5 right now.
And for Weibo, when you have that 3rd item for Light on the sustained damage bears, I think it's really important that we have seen this guy have so much success, right? He made a huge splash on LNG, and I feel like his time on Weibo, he's really been able to mold himself into a superstar carry, but it needs to happen here. We have seen him go lethality so many times. He has the sticks now. He's on 3 items, and he's going to have so much to do in the team fights if they want to have an advantage.
Cao chắc là nó cho luôn ngầm gió.
Really just going to be a lot up to him. And a lot of different
Ngầm gió
roles,
cái
right?
mẹ
He's
vậy đó.
going to be playing, peeling back, like watching out for the Wukong and the Rakan jumping right on top of him, while the rest of his team is trying to get onto the Zeri. So could end up having a very difficult role. Of course, with the Chains of Corruption, as far as you always do have a bit of self-peel to be able to play with, and both teams for the past few minutes just avoiding each other.
Like ships in the night. Ships that are soon going to crash into each other. Another dragon coming up. This will be sole point for JDG. Weibo, did they use some of their pressure on the top side to maybe pull the attention of JDG themselves towards Baron?
JDG know Weibo are not baiting Baron. You know what I mean? Like, JDG...
Thằng Lai nó có cái góc bắn được nó như nào.
They know Weibo are not baiting
Không
Baron.
ai cover nó khỏi đánh.
Nothing else gonna come of it. Weibo
Canopy nó lao vô nó rờ
they
đó.
are still looking for things. Dragon still up on the table, would be able to tie things
Canopy nó
up
lạc
with
trộn,
JDG
Canopy
in
nó
that
vượt
fashion.
cao nữa.
Looks like they might just let this one go.
It feels like it's just so tense because JDG...
Chơi cái
JDG
vu công
are
xuất sắc
playing
hơn.
like, hey guys, we need to win one more game. Like let's not make mistakes. Let's keep it cool. Let's play it a bit slower. And Weibo, for the opposite reason, doing similar things, being
Just
very
hanging out.
hesitant. And right, I feel like a slower game again. With the carries JDG has should favor them, but Weibo are
Rồi,
actually
Ghost Baron.
pulling the Baron this time.
And Kanavi's nowhere even close, so they
Nowhere
might have just
near.
given
Baron
this
nhanh
low
nha.
TP coming in as well. Weibo just
Baron nhanh
slipped
lắm
the
luôn.
rug, and they went with that sneaky Baron you talked about earlier, missing, trying to
Vu
catch
công tới đéo
somebody,
kịp
went
đâu.
in way
Thằng
too
Baron,
early and
thằng
just
Lai
got
luôn.
soloed out by himself. An
Thằng Lai nằm.
ultra-shock laser came across, but JDG, they can't get Weibo. All the quick backs coming through. Weibo stopped their backs. They actually want to stay. They caught Flandre out. He's going to burn his flash, though. Yagao trying to ult down Chris. That primordial burst will not be enough. JDG still, he's on his way to close this trap. Yagao and Flandre leading the way. Ruler is right behind them. Weibo, what are you gonna do? You're stuck in a pickle. It might be catch 22. They're just standing there staring at each other. Here comes ZDZ behind, though. They are waiting for their Aatrox to get a big flank. They are also waiting for Missing to come in. Everybody's waiting. Who's gonna go to? Everybody's staring at each other menacingly. And Kanavi, he wants the angle. He wants the cutoff. He realizes that Weibo are now desynced. Chris gives his life, but he will be the only one to fall in the end.
All of that tension, all of that build-up for one kill onto the support.
Dù là cái pha này nó ép vô nhìn đáy quá nhìn nó
It goes back to neither team. Like, both teams knowing they cannot afford to make a single mistake, leaving them hesitant. Weibo the big winners though, right? They end up
nó tầm ăn một Baron này làm cái gì thế này.
And they still have another minute and a half on that one to try to get some gold back under their belts. They were only about 2,000
Thằng Lai
gold
tầm này có lên
down.
giống hồi sinh.
Still
Không
just
biết hồi
about
sinh mình đánh được.
that. I will say though, JDG getting that last dragon definitely sets
Không biết hồi sinh
them
hồi.
up in the
Vô
following dragons.
đánh
They
tắt điện.
have a lot of that decision-making power, and the Baron is still going to be a little bit off that spawn, so they can just kind of force a turret fight if they want to. And we also think about their scaling coming online. 3 items now for Ruler. We're going to be close to 3 items for Yagao as well.
Actually, with the way that standoff went, the Baron might not matter that much. I mean, only 58
so.
seconds left. JDG standoff actually kind of ended up paying off, and their comp is going to love a Cloud Soul. So now Weibo left at a standstill. Maybe they can at least get one turret off of this.
Thằng Lai giờ vô mà vô ẩu là chết luôn.
Potential is there, but now with Yagao coming back with another item for himself, having that Banshees. No, doesn't seem like it's in the cards.
Wow. Hesitancy everywhere. And Weibo feeling it a little bit heavier. Now Flandre almost on 4 items, as well as he's got the Seeker's Arm Guard there. We'll have a lot of playability around that as well. And Weibo, I've seen them doing this in these downtimes. They are just walking around. They are trying to clear some vision down. They just
22 mạng rồi mà em chưa cậy cứng 25.5
catch JDG unaware.
thì em đùa.
Oh, but JDG are looking to catch Weibo out.
Missing, going the long flank. He's going to the botanical garden and taking a nice little stroll through it. Last time, though, he did this. He did get completely caught out and taken down, sacrificing his life. Here comes the Destiny. I'm not going to follow it just yet. We're just looking where Weibo were.
We're just begging for anything, JDG and Weibo. We're begging for anything.
He's going bot side.
Going for the split push.
So he doesn't have TP. So this could be a fight where Weibo force their hand, but they need somebody to respond to this bot side wave.
Là đại tộc 4.
I mean, neither team really having any obvious openings. Both teams really respecting the potential angles of where the other one could be, right? No one overextending, no one walking too deep in the enemy jungle when they know who could be around. Like Weibo there, no one face checking. And 11-11. It's actually crazy how close this game has ended up being. We're a minute away from Drake. This will be sole point for JDG again, trying to get that date with a match up against top esports.
And that GA. That's the most important part. Getting a double elimination section of the LPL Spring Playoffs is super important. Another guy who's been super important for JDG and was a bit of a question mark coming into this series has been Flandre. 5-2-3 on the TF. He's on his 4th item now with that Zanya's completed. He has shut down ZDZ, who has been such a strong strength in the past for Weibo, and especially recently in the playoffs.
So both teams still kind of standing for it. Dragon coming up so soon, but JDG are the ones with vision advantage right now. They even have some flank wards, even though they themselves can't really use them. At least potentially be able to spot out any avenues ZDZ or someone would take to try to make their way around in a fight.
Ooh, important. Light just finished GA himself. It's not the one that we're looking at to win for this series, but it's super important for him to be able to play with a little bit more confidence. Dragon Soul for JDG started up.
Yao is actually chasing down ZDZ. So they're on it. They're doing it fast.
They just burn it. They just get it. Flandre, he's looking on the other side. He's actually looking for ZDZ. Meanwhile, it's completely split. ZDZ's trying to get back to his team, but he's all alone. And Kanavi cleans that one up all day. Missing survives in the 4-man engage from Weibo. There's nothing that Weibo can do.
Yeah, Weibo not even really committing to a 4-man engage onto Missing. Like, I mean, look, didn't even have to flash away or anything. And there it is. There's that hesitancy. But again, JDG, nice setup. They get so fast. The vision that was there, like everything being in their favor. Now we might get to a point to where we just have to full send it and go for a Hail Mary, go for a big gamble, or then get on. I was gonna say Ruler, but it's in these fights. It's actually looking like Flandre being the biggest menace we're able to deal with.
He does so much ridiculous damage, too. It's so difficult to navigate these fights for Weibo. And they're finding themselves still in the same about 3,000 gold now for JDG. But it's JDG right now, and it's already half health.
And I mean, they have Cyclone, they have the quickness, they have everything they need to turn from this Baron and get an ideal fight. So, looks like Weibo know that they can't contend with this, so have the Baron can start pushing through these lanes. You're going to have Destiny up soon, too, so it's going to be very easy to play through a 2-lane setup.
Lyric, what do you do when you're hanging on the edge of a cliff and your fingers are slipping here for Weibo? You have to find some saving grace, some inner strength here, because this is a team who have gone the distance 2 times in a row, and they have to find a way to pull themselves out of this, or they're going to fall off that cliff and go inside.
Tụi nó đẩy lính bạc cửa rồi tụi chui trong nhà đứng nhìn. Điều em chưa có cái đó. Hồi nãy cái Weibo 17 mạng á.
Giống game 1.
Nó không đánh nhau. Kịch bản như vua luôn.
Nhưng mà nó còn Nocturne khó đi mẹ. Con Nocturne kiểu lố nó chả bay vào.
Bay vào xong lát ra. Bay vào xong lát ra.
Would have to look back at what they could have done earlier.
Cái cây này, bay vào xong lát ra. Xong chưa vô để cổ núp.
Ít phải 2 con bắt nữa. Bọn này
không,
đợi
con rồng nó mới hết game được.
Mid lane almost down as well. Weibo stuck in the middle. If they're going to go for Flandre, we will wall over as well. They might be able to get him, but he Destiny's his way out.
Rồi được rồi.
Má cái rửa
just can't catch this guy. He's got a smooth criminal vibe right now, and JDG almost ended up finding light under turret. They do get the chains of corruption out as well. The
Lại
depth,
mất
that's
tốc
a
biến
lot
thì
used.
cút.
Oh my God, Ruler, and there's the combo. JDG has
Rồi,
smelled
sao?
the blood in the water for a while now.
Xong
And
rồi, nấp nhà
Weibo,
đi.
you've been left wanting.
Đúng rồi, 11-15
Dry
thôi,
in
nấp
the
nhà đi.
desert. Your
Nghe là
fingers
đó.
crack on the edge of the cliff. The abyss waiting for you
Núp luôn trong nhà.
below. And
Núp luôn.
JDG crushed
Núp
those
thẳng ra.
fingers
Không
one
làm gì hết,
by
núp thôi.
little one.
Núp,
They have
núp.
a date
Cộng 4.5
atop
win.
esports, and our third seed is
Cộng 4.5 win
dominant.
luôn. Thấy chưa?
Our first
Ok chưa?
3-0 of
Anh em nói gì đi?
playoffs.
Tin đúng rồi. Xỉu 25.5. Tài quá là bao nhiêu? Anh em ta làm ta 25.5 được ném đáy. Bây giờ cái kịch bản. Hết rồi. Khỏi.
25.5 ra đúng 26 mạng.
Các bạn cộng 4.5 rồi. Cộng 4.5 ăn rất 2 chấm mấy. Hợp lý á.
They aren't tried and tested like these teams are, and JDG really showing again that experience paying off.
And if you're a Weibo fan, you should still be proud. I think the fact that they got 10 games, it was huge. They had a lot of struggles in the regular season. It was a miracle themselves that they were even that able to make it here with all that craziness towards the end. But it's a roster you expected greatness from, and I think